All right, let's get it popping, baby. All right, it took us a little bit, but good morning. I hope you guys are having a good day. Futures are already down about 1%, and it's interesting 48 hours. Pretty much, we went from a lot of tension about trade deals, people think it's going to happen, and to not really hearing much, and some people kind of doubting that. So we're going to hear from Scott Bessent today. We also got a big bond auction, but I'm sure we are going to be playing this back and forth between trade deals or not. But now, this time, the momentum is coming. So remember, the range is wide. We talked about this on the watch list. All that's really is going to boil down to is speed. And then after today, tomorrow is Jerome Powell. So whatever does happen or doesn't happen, keep that in mind. You have Jerome Powell. So we'll see where that all leads us, but we got a minute till the bell. And again, if you haven't read it, we did make an update to the rules, so we are changing some things on the channel. Rule number 4, you guys, no more plays. So any short-term plays are no longer allowed. Keep them to yourself. Assume everybody in here owns everything they're calling out. Assume they are all pumpers, and I wish you guys the best. I only want to talk about long-term plays. So everything, you'll have a warning period, but don't be surprised if those types of comments get removed. I want only info, pure info, and whatever you do with that info is up to you, but leave that to yourself now. So God bless you, and I hope it takes away more distractions, and I hope we could get clarity. Oh, PNC, I'm going to miss your plays, baby. I'm going to miss yours, PNC. I'm not going to lie, but God bless, and I think y'all will still do good, and I hope it helps everyone out. But that being said, we got 30 seconds. I'm going to be watching Boeing, Disney, Pony, Uber. Again, Pony and Uber, they have a lot of headlines there. Watch gold. I've heard people talk about KGC if you guys want to talk about it. So then we'll find out. And then Core Weave in K-Web. That's only for short-term plays. Yeah, read the rule. It's in there in writing. So very simple. Can you give currency metal plays? No, only long-term plays. That's it. Like I said, keep it to yourself, you guys. I think people influence. I don't have time to go over chat faxes. People are getting mad. They're getting banned. I just think it's a lot easier to focus on long-term. And again, every long-term makes people money. Round 1. Fight. All right. So again, you're already down by 1%. The vibe is still kind of, less trade developments. We even heard from UK talking about countermeasures if something didn't go right. So we'll see how that all factors in, but keep that in mind. Oh, Baba. I don't know. I think China's going to get washed, though. So watch out for any of those weeklies. Global debt rises $7 trillion on the quarter, if you guys didn't know. 2 points to the gap down. Again, this is exactly what happened yesterday. We were down about almost 0.91%. What is this? China, France, Germany, largest contributors to global debt. Not as important. And then there was an update in Germany. I don't know if you guys realized, but they couldn't, Merz he didn't win. So the guy who was like guaranteeing the $500 billion and all that money, that I'm surprised that it did not go through. So we'll see where that plays out, but that is another factor there on the day. And then again, Scott Bessent should be on in like 30 minutes, I believe, at 10 or so. Hong Kong, we talked about that yesterday, the peg. I don't know what's going on with the currency yet, but you should be looking at gold. Again, gold is already doing another 2% day to start off. And then where's the other one? Uber, Pony, and then WeRide or something like that. All of those automation companies, they all had a headline. Oh, wait, Baba is up. Well, that's interesting. Oh, yeah, China did open up. So keep that in mind. But they jacked the spreads on the Baba. What? So, yeah, Baba's doing good right now, but the spreads are very, very wide. They lowered the bid. I haven't put in an order yet. I'm kind of tempted to. Yeah, so China plays are still kind of lagging. And then watch NVO as well. I forgot about that. Apple is green, yes. Remember, Apple was down a lot yesterday, but it's barely moving. I think the premiums are still the same price. They're actually down now. They're down 10%. So they were up yesterday, then they came back, and then now they're down again. K-Web. Yeah, NVO moving. Again, watch for the Babas to level out. They're starting to catch a bid right there. New GTA 6 trailer? No way. After they just delayed it. Oh! Bradley Frizzle in the peach? Are you kidding me? Horn. Oh. Yo, and then Boeing. There was a lot of news today. Speaking of the peach, baby. God bless Bradley Frizzle. That Boeing peach is insane. I don't know if y'all feel me on that, but Yeah, there was a news about like Saudi buying a bunch of planes. And then did you hear what Delta is doing? So Delta is having Airbus planes. They're having them shipped so that they're counted as used planes. They're flying it to Asia and then delivering them. So we might hear about planes in Boeing, but generally, too, the Saudis and then the May meeting with Trump to Saudi Arabia, you're going to hear a little bit about that. EU Commission to propose June phase-out of all remaining Russian gas imports. Take-Two releasing another trailer. It sucks because, again, the stock went down 9% when they delayed it. So they delayed Grand Theft Auto. Last time they put out a trailer, I think the stock went up 5% when they put out the first trailer and release date, but I don't know how that's going to hit today. And then SMCI's up, Apple, okay, still chilling. Apple's still in the red. NASDAQ down 1, Russell down 1, Dow's the best, and SPY is down by 0.8. Not bad. Nike, SEDG, that was another earnings. Okay, where's that other one? Pony AI. That one's still up a lot. FWRG. You're buying shares of Nutrilo with 30 years until sell. I like it. I like a long-term play, baby. I like it. Yeah, Celsius was good. Honestly, I think Celsius earnings could have been bad, but it was generally like decent. Considering I know they were moving a lot more and then people were mad about the buyout, but I like Celsius. That's my long way to tell you that. Yeah, Hims waking up. Hims just recovered about 5%, so that's going down or going up. Wolf halted, no play. UAL, more airlines. I have not looked at oil today, though. I did think it was down. Carney, I don't know. Carney is going to be anytime today, but just even the messaging behind that yesterday started to like flip. They were just saying it's not as important. Okay, Baba's got a bid now, so all of those are green if you still have them. Oh, shit. Okay, my thing just froze. So is that not allowed? You could talk about it. You guys are, and I think some of you guys are smart, and I appreciate you. But please don't make this this rule any more difficult than what it is. Just you can't flex. You can't say I made money. You can't say you lost. Do not post a play. That's it. I'm free to talk about things, and I think all of you should assume everybody in here is pumping. And assume everybody's intention of talking and calling a play out is because they want you to buy it, okay? But it's not really a difficult rule. Some of you guys got Bloomberg terminals. You guys have access to a lot. This isn't a high-level request. This is very, very simple. Just no more plays, no more short-term plays. We could talk about whatever you want. That's it. Just take the info, but stop telling people what you're doing. Stop influencing people on it, and I don't have time to babysit it. That's kind of the real thing. Yeah, Palantir down at 109. So, yeah, I hope, again, I'll be, we'll give you a little warning period on it, but, yeah, I think this one should be easy. One whale bought him. I am excited for tomorrow, bro. Your boy Powell, man, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. Hims is going up, whoever's calling that, and then Amazon on the high, too. Okay, Hims just rocketed it, bro. After being down, that was a good one by dudes. Dude, all the China plays are up. K-Web, now K-Web, JD, Baba, they're starting to go. Yeah, then Palantir on the downside. What it was, so you should have been banned for 24 hours. It's because you said, I know this isn't allowed, and then you still did it, a.k.a. posting links. So, or trying to get people to go to a link. So, not cool, especially if you said, I know this isn't allowed. But, yeah. So, it should have been 24 hours. They let you come back in on the other one. But, no worries. You'll be fine. And then any other bans will get unbanned in June. Again, Celsius, they had their earnings. There's one more there, too. Palantir's still getting mollywopped. Palantir down 11. There was not really China news. I mean, people just, there's just more doubt circling. And just this idea that China and some other trade deals, like, last week was a lot of like, oh my gosh, we're getting a deal. But so far, last 48 hours, it's been more negative developments. It's just been more movies, no movement. Like we heard about India getting a deal with the UK prior to us. So just kind of holding, but then again, it doesn't help that we're having these back and forth moves, with the volatility and the wide range, which is like exasperating how people are feeling. But generally, it's been about from the weekend till now, it's been like, what, 4 or 5 days since you've gotten a positive trade development or like something actually was signed and moved and occurred. And yeah, take two, I see that on the high. No short term. Well, yeah, Ramsden. So don't post anything. Just post info, post news. That's all I want. Oracle. Oh, I like Oracle, but we're not going to hear anything. Remember, they're just still part of the TikTok deal. I had a 3-cent play from earlier, from last week. Those didn't move at all. Pepsi, bro. Dude, that talk last night on Pepsi, man, I'm a big fan. I am a big, big fan. We had a nice discussion on that, and I think is a good time to tell you guys. If you're just starting a long term and you don't, you're like, what do I start with? Pepsi is a good blue chip anchor. So not a recommendation. I don't own it. I own Coca-Cola, but that's exactly why I like it so much here, because this thing's down, bro. And you could go back in time. You could get a 4% one, and that's it. Yeah, there's the take. I don't know what's going to happen with the take two. It's very odd. Because, again, so the first time Take Two released the Grand Theft Auto trailer, the stock went up like 5%. But then the other day on Friday, they delayed it. They delayed Grand Theft Auto on this year, and then the stock went down 9%. So now they're putting out a new trailer. That's good, but I don't know how it's going to play out. So, but that is accurate. So if you guys are looking at Take Two, Grand Theft Auto, I mean, there is headlines and new developments. I just don't know what it's going to do. So good luck with that. But yeah, like we are saying, Pepsi, bro. I think that's a good. It's definitely doing bad for certain reasons. They lost the Costco deal. They also are losing the SNAP benefits with soda. Not to mention whatever else RFK is doing, the snacks and Red 40. But it's a big name. I think all of you know what Pepsi is. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's at a very low price, so I think that's a good starting point. But yeah, we were talking about it. And I think Hims is rocketing. Good calls. So, yeah, you guys were talking about this one going red to green earlier, so that's already moving. Tesla as a long term, I'd probably get it a lot lower. I like Tesla, bro. I even like Tesla as a car, but, there's drama, politics, valuation. So, if it ever, if the market ever slipped up and gave it to me at a steal of a deal, I'll buy it. But other than that, I'm not. I don't know. It's not really on my target list. Selling the long term to get a house. He'll be back in a few months. Hey man, that's amazing. I love it. Congratulations. That means it's working. We need long terms. Core weave on the high, SPY on the high. Hopefully you guys notice, man. First about 5-10 minutes here. First 11 minutes. It's kind of been straight up, but it's like very minor. It's like what, 13 to 17 points from the bottom. But yeah, it's about 17 points from the bottom, but it's tiny, but it's just been straight up. So these are one of those days. We'll see if it actually plays like that. But the first level of volatility will start messing things up. Where is it? All right, and then I think your boy should be coming on in like 20 minutes. TM core weave on the high. Nike again. Hims is up 9%. That just moved 12% intraday right now in 11 minutes. That's a banger. Palantir's still down. Again, the Nikes. Invis Oz, they drop. Eli Lilly down too. I don't think any healthcare. Again, there is the pharma stuff today too. That was part of it. So like I'm saying, you didn't get any of these like positive trade developments, and then you're now even hearing more pharma, and we're talking about escalation. Is LLC good to have before? Yeah, but at this point, you're kind of late. So if you're already selling out the long term, and I hope you're in escrow if you sold the long term, but usually you want this figured out prior. So you could always move it to an LLC, but if you're like thinking about protection, liability, taxes, all that, you do want to plan and prepare that in advance. So, but for now too, even on, I wouldn't really worry about it if it's your first crib. I don't think you need to. If you do start renting out the property, if you put it on Airbnb, then I would. Trust, same thing. A lot of these you need to set up in advance. That's what I was telling. That's why I always remind you guys. Usually once a year, I give you guys a talk on preparing taxes and setting that up, because especially if you want to do that and if you want to take advantage of strategic planning, insulate your risk and liability, and do all that stuff, you need to prepare for it. You got to do it all in advance. So it's okay for your first one if you haven't done it here. These are the things that I learned as I gone through it. But if you're going to live in the property, I really wouldn't be, you don't have to worry about that stuff just yet. Yeah, I saw Meta going up there. Again, SPY holding up. We're either going to get volatility, and then this is just going to waste our time because it's a small move. Otherwise, it looks very melty, but I don't trust shit. And then him, bro, that's insane. So Take-Two still going. Again, GTA trailer. Yeah, that thing's just running. Plays are kind of expensive, but you can take it if you want. It's all you. Get a long term. Russia gas contract termination to be force majeure, Jorgensen. Yeah, they're pumping the Grand Theft. All right, we got to fucking watch it now. Man. And then MicroStrategy is live. Yeah, Bessent's going to be on in 15 minutes. You could rent your home business for a tax write-off. Yes, you can. So you could buy a home under your company, and then you could rent it to yourself. Pretty much, and then you could use that as a write-off. But you can only write off what you use. So if you only use like one bedroom, you only get the taxable write-off of that one bedroom or whatever area is used for working. So it's a good tax write-off. You just have to do it properly, or you'll get in trouble. You kind of swing trade in your long term. Is it better to separate them? My brother in Christ, just know that I love you, okay? Just know that I love you. No. I love him. I'm not mad. It's okay. But yeah, I would separate them. It's not a good idea, okay? But you get the nice response. The next guy's getting clapped. I'm just telling you. So, but yeah, I would separate them for sure. That's one of the big things that I've seen people fail on. And it gets in their way, it distracts them, and it doesn't allow them to take advantage of everything we're doing. It's tripping out right now. I'm looking at that. Again, bonds, nothing else moved, but still early. Again, only 16 minutes. Yeah. Oh, watch oil. Then gold, bro. Once again, it's up 2.5 by the time we're into the morning. Yeah, and then oil. Damn, oil's up 3.7. Jeez. Couple more weeks of being escrow. Let's go. Woo. Is calling out plays banned? Yes. If it's short term, I don't want to hear it anymore. I think they're very distracting. So just post long term plays. You could talk about stocks. If you guys want to talk about news and information and talk about play ideas, I would love to. But I'm done with the whole post your play, flexing a win or loss. There's now zero way that could happen because we don't care about them anymore. No more plays. Only info. Yeah, you can post levels on SPY. That's more than welcome. I don't know about ACHR. I don't know if you asked me. Some people were asking me about it, but I'm just not too familiar. But like, I don't know how it works, but I'm not a fan of flying cars, I guess is the simple way. But then again, I've been closed-minded at times, and some things have happened. So I'm eVTOLs, I think is a cool concept, and I'll be open-minded towards it, but I'm not ready to invest in it at any capacity right now. I think it's still very, very early. Get Uncle to sponsor a Lexus. I'm down. You know, I could prepay a lease on a Lexus, $200 a month, $300 a month. Yeah, it'd be like $3,600 for a year. That might be a grand prize. Tesla, again, Tesla's starting to slip. 3 candles, you guys called it out, but no headline on that first one. Now Palantir's selling off. Hims just moved up about like 15% intraday, bro. Kind of insane from the open. Apple, big slip. Like I said, every time those contracts, they go green for a little, then they fade. And then China's up too, but there's enough room for China to slip. But it's actually kind of weird. Some China names are like pulling apart. Some are way more green than others. But yeah, we're getting right back to the open. Still down about 1-0 on the NASDAQ, 0.87 on the SPY and Dow, 1-1 on the Russell. Euro, yen. Yeah, euro is breaking out. Damn, the pound is up too. So it sucks, bro. We started off this week with mad currency volatility. So it's very hard to it's hard to see why we're doing these moves. So, and that's why we're talking Hong Kong dollar pegs, and everyone's kind of freaking out. But once again, like from the beginning of the year till now, just dollar and currency volatility is not dissipated. I think Ford is up. They were down earlier, but it might be. Oh wow, it is green. I thought it'd be up, but still red. But yeah, it's up by 1%. So not bad. AVDL on the high. A couple of others. The VIX is on the high. So 58.77 now, or excuse me, that's on the equal weight. You're at 55.95. You broke 5,600. So, Chad, you have a lot of room though. That's what sucks about this. So now 5571, you could probably sell another 20, 30 points on the SPX. Then 5558, and 5519 to 17, and then there's other levels, but just remember, I don't like this level, that 54.44 or whatever. We had a lot of, like I told you, every time we get above it, you fight it. So we'll see. But yeah, we are coming down here again, day number 2, but you're down 1%. You've broken a solid level, and now, like we talked about, just even from Monday, you know, the range, just very, very wide range, you know, below 53.80, that's where you panic. That's where people don't feel good. That's where negative developments start to hit. Other than that, though, I mean, relatively speaking, you have another like 200 points that you could go down, and it doesn't really change anything. I know. You're on tornado range. Oh, man, be safe, bro. Be safe. Currency. I think that is the reason. That's what I said yesterday on the watch list. I don't know, because I'm telling you, it's not. The Taiwan move is very unusual. Okay, SPY's still coming down here. So let me put up the normal one here. I'm going to put equal weight on the bottom, but equal weight's even selling off too. So this is a broader sell. This, I would argue, I think 80% of the market's down. I'll get a checkup here in 9 minutes, but I could kind of already tell. So you're getting like a lot of pressure. Equal weight is down 1%. SPY is down by 1.1, you know? This is like broadly everything declining. Meanwhile, yeah, gold is up. Gold is technically up 5% in the last 48 hours. So it's up another 2.5 now. But remember, gold did that shit yesterday. So still going down here. But again, I would say this is broader. I don't think you're getting I think just a little bit of risk off across the board. So 5588, damn. So again, next level is going to be what? 5580 and then 557 or whatever. Jeez. BB. Yeah, then 5561. Well, you already kind of got to that first level. Hope the friend with the law term. Oh, let's go, baby. I'm glad he received it, bro. Amen. Amen. It's the best for both, When it's well received too. Oh man, it's amazing. And I saw the book. What year was it, bro? That book, I thought it was gonna be old. It looked modern. I saw Your Richest Man in Babylon. Yeah, the collector's edition. I didn't know they had that. How do you know what the levels are? I'm not gonna lie to you, just like everybody else. I am making them up and guessing. You know that? So everybody on Wall Street just makes shit up and guesses. So that's what I'm doing too. So my levels are just based off of, specific support, opens and closes over the last 5 years. I didn't always do this. And then we noticed the market was getting very computery. But like I say, it's not really sophisticated. And make no mistake, I don't think it's anything wild. That's why sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. They have been very accurate, but that's why I don't trust them to the point of this is what we're going to do. But especially now, I will tell you, though, just in the sense of what I'm outlining for the week, because I put this on the Monday watch list. Everybody could have got it. I wanted people prepared, members or non-members. It didn't matter because, again, there's a lot happening here, but it's just 58.40. You start getting back to where, big closes, big momentum. That's where we start to – that's going to be really FOMO. And then vice versa, though, if we break below the 5,300 – and that's some of the other bigger low levels that we haven't been able to hold, things will get bad there. So these levels, for me, I think this week are important, and it just tells you, though, that the range is high and there's going to be a lot of chop. But make no mistake, these levels can be respected or disrespected at any moment, and just based off of highs and lows and openings and closing over the last couple years. Kind of nuts. And then VIX on the high. Levered ETFs, I would not be throwing those in your long term. Trade them, swing trade them, do what you need to, but that's not a long term investment. They decay. Chart looks that big, bro. It's about 0.3, at least on the Nasdaq intraday. Actually, SPY moved 0.4. Fuck. So yeah, but think about yesterday. It took you all day to move this amount, 0.4%, 0.5. So you just did that here 5 minutes prior to the top of the hour. So, and then no real headline yet at all. But like I'm saying here, it seems like everything is kind of risk off today. You could just see a broad. I'll get you a checkup here in about 5 minutes. We'll find out, but you could already get the idea. Remember, some of the earnings weren't that good. You had earnings today that just impacted tariff uncertainty. That kind of spread out a little bit, but then again, those were the smaller companies. ETFs for a month? Listen, I don't care what you do with the levered ETF, just don't put it in a long term. That's it. Whatever else you do outside of the long term, God bless you. But I just wouldn't put don't put a UVXY in your long term. Don't put TLT even in your long term. I wouldn't be putting especially the levered ones like the Qs, the SQQ, UVXY. Those aren't long term plays. But Pepsi is looking amazing for those of you talking about long term. So yeah, that's the one we talked about yesterday. Can you explain that? Elaborate? I can, but I mean, are you familiar with milk? Cow's milk? Happy cows come from California and shit, and milk. So what happens if you put milk in the fridge for a year? Would you still drink that milk? That's how I view levered ETFs. So they're milk. You can't just put it in a long term and hold it for 10 years. It's gonna decay. You did Pepsi? Good. I like it, man. I think that one, like I said, if it even goes lower and they force me to buy it, I'm gonna buy it. But I am, I like it. It's 4%. That's usually a great ass yield. Like I said, they're going through some stuff. I haven't bought it. I already own Coca-Cola. That's what makes me want it. But I think it's a good quality name that most people know about. If markets go down more, you're quitting for an hour. Markets are rigged. I agree with you. Markets are rigged. I wouldn't quit though. But markets are rigged for the long term. That's why I'm saying, you guys should all get a long term. Ooh, added Starbucks. I like it, man. Starbucks is kind of fascinating. I wish it was a little bit lower, but every time it gets to these levels, kind of goes up. But then I am worried about America. I don't know. I still see packed Starbuckses. I asked you guys, some of y'all still drinking Starbucks. I went recently, but dude, this is some of the worst America trends in like 20 years. So other than that, though, it's attractive. Let's say hypothetically, no, man. No more hypotheticals. You guys get the concept like we talked about even for the philo. I would just take clarity when you have it. Stop trying to make it confusing. You know what I'm saying? Levered ETFs are not for your long term. Just call it a day. And then if you're trying to put bond ETFs in your long term, just go buy a bond. Like we've talked about. I wouldn't make it any more complex. You can if you'd like to, but that is going to be the risk you're going to take. Your wife's awe is single-handedly keeping Starbucks going. So I've heard. Everybody has that one person in their family who's still just hammering home Starbucks. That's why I like it. It's a good American company, man, but I just give it to me. Make me buy it. That's what we talked about yesterday. They give me a low enough price, bro, I'll buy it. But till then, both Pepsi and that. But Pepsi's like more blue chip, I would say. For now. But then again, Starbucks used to be kind of a blue chip in its own capacity. It's me. I'm the person. Okay, you're still holding. Palantir now 106. That's doing round 4. It's round 3 to the low. Down 14. I didn't look at O's earnings, but I think the real estate space rates, it's all kind of the same. Canada PMIs 47.9 versus 51. Again, Bessent should be coming on any second now. Okay, SPY going a little lower. Watch out. This could be pre-written statements. Because look, SPY's moving. Bonds are catching a candle. Nah, again, yesterday they like Bessent. If you guys aren't aware, bro, even the comments about tariffs and the way he was well received yesterday. So Bessent has been more calming to the market than not. But yeah, just be on the watch because that could be it. Okay, I got audio, but yeah, you just had a little bit of a candle and then bonds. It's not big enough, but be on the lookout for that pre-written statement. Yeah, watch your ears. The audio's on. If you could hear air blowing. Square on the high. For the Taiwan dollar, there's not a future chart, I don't think. At least not on TD, but you could just do it's the TWD USD or USD TWD is the pair. So quick look at something's happening right now. Like I'm saying, Bessent is about to come on. We have a little bit of audio, nothing out there, but traditionally he does have a pre-written statement. NVO is going to do a little bit worse than what's it called? Zetbound, but everybody really guided low. So I don't think they're going to do amazing, but I also think that the bar is pretty low. And people already priced in them going lower. But then again, you never know with a company down 50 or 40% on the quarter or the year. Okay, SPY back to VWAP. Again, Scott Bessent He will be on in any second now. Oh,
Subcommittee on Financial Services and General Government will come to order. The hearing is titled The Oversight of the United States Department of Treasury. Members will have 5 legislative days within which to revise and extend their remarks and insert extraneous material into the record. I would note we have a hard stop today at 11:30. I now recognize myself for an opening statement. I would like to thank Secretary Bessent for being here today and for his leadership and his steady hand over the last several months. We are living in an increasingly complex world with no shortage of issues. Whether it be taxes or tariffs, right-sizing regulation, or creating a regulatory framework for digital assets, the Department of Treasury's role is fundamental to the resolution. If we think about it, this is why the Department of Treasury was created. The department is central to maintaining a strong economy, creating jobs, and promoting economic growth, both here and abroad. It was created to bolster our national security and to assure our economic stability, and it continues to thwart terrorists and criminals.
yeah, McDonald's just woke up. I got that top right.
Activity every day.
Then bonds back down. They gave up whatever pre-written we could have thought it was, and then SPY just chilling.
The spending plan reveals it takes significant resources. It starts with a strong workforce, most updated technology, and the appropriate working conditions, including buildings that are sufficiently maintained. But this doesn't happen in a vacuum. It also takes cooperation, transparency, and accountability. As this committee looks to fund the department's future operations, we need to understand the priorities and how the department is deploying resources across its divisions and bureaus, and why. There are definitely efficiencies to be identified, but changes need to be thoughtful and deliberate to ensure the department's mission is still accomplished. We need to ensure our financial system, the economy, and leadership around the world is safe, secure, and thriving. Secretary Bessent, there are and will be challenging times ahead, but I believe you are the right person at the right time to overcome
I'm going to keep up gold,
those
too.
challenges. I look forward to working with you, and I now recognize the ranking member for his opening statement.
Okay. Is it out yet? I haven't seen a quote.
Mr. Chairman, and welcome.
Okay, no,
Mr.
not him.
Secretary.
Other guy.
This is our first substantive hearing dealing with.
I haven't seen any of his comments hit the wire yet, though.
Taken in the first 3 months.
So kind of interesting.
Actions planned and predicted by Project.
Yeah, this could be good. Bessent's going to clap back a little bit.
I look forward to having more such hearings with other agencies under our
I'm sure we'll get a good headline or a good clip.
OMB, GSA, and OPM, which are having such profoundly negative impact on our country. What we've seen in the first 100 days of this administration is unprecedented, and so the polls tell us, disturbing to the American people.
Google, MasterCard, Visa.
Incoherent tariff policy has plunged the Americans and global economies into chaos. These past 3 months, the American economy shrank for the first time since the final days of the pandemic. The stock market fell more in the first 100 days of the Trump administration than in the first 100 days of any presidency in the past half century. Consumer confidence is at its lowest since May of 2020, the height of COVID-19. That uncertainty has also rattled the bond market, with investors dangerously starting to doubt the full faith and credit of the United States. Most importantly, Americans are hurting. Families see their costs going up. Retirees watch their life savings losing value. Small business owners and farmers risk going under as they struggle to navigate ever-changing tariffs. Our economy is in chaos, and so I think is our government. Donald Trump, Russell Vought, and Elon Musk are orchestrating an illegal purge of our federal employees. They clearly had a lot of ideas on how to remove these people and dismantle these programs as quickly as possible. Sadly, they had no clue, in my view, as to the devastating consequences of their actions on our country, our government, our allies, and the professionals we rely on to serve the American people. I am particularly concerned about the Internal Revenue Service.
South Korea and U.S. foreign ministers spoke on phone to discuss economic cooperation.
So far, the Trump administration has forced the IRS to cut as many as 11,443 employees,
so Korea,
or over
headline,
11% of its staff.
Not anything crazy.
That includes 6,700 workers who were fired at the height of this most recent tax session. Now the administration is planning to reduce the IRS workforce, I understand, by another 40,000 jobs, or 40%. That includes up to half of the IRS enforcement staff. Additionally, Trump's 2026 budget cuts funding for the IRS by 20%. These actions at IRS, in my view, and every other government office, have bludgeoned morale, destroyed efficiency, and increased waste. Cutting back on IRS enforcement
Ford and GM. Actually, they're really going. GM, pop in.
to cheat on their taxes and get out of paying what they owe. That, of course, increases
still
what
there.
others pay.
Again, and Ford went
explodes
green.
the deficit. As the president and congressional Republicans undermine the ability to enforce our existing tax code, they are also pursuing massive tax cuts for the wealthiest among us. Furthermore, DOGE operatives are rifling through IRS databases.
Even
that
if there is
contain
pace between
Americans'
Ukraine and Russia,
sensitive
GM
information,
popping,
including their financial history,
and then you're getting Russian
Social
headlines.
Security numbers, immigration status, and more. The story is the same across the federal government. Americans are reeling from this uncertainty in their economy and in their government. They need answers. More than that, they need an adult in the room. That is the role I hope the Treasury Department.
This is what I'm saying.
plays,
They
and
love
Mr.
Bessent,
Secretary,
bro.
in particular, yourself.
That wasn't bad. He's
Economy
talking
and
shit about
markets
Trump, and
do
then it
not lie.
ends with,
We all
you're the
depend
adult,
on the
Mr.
Treasury
Bessent.
Secretary
They
to
love
communicate
Bessent, bro.
clearly
They love him.
and transparently to the President, the Congress, the American people, and indeed the world. I've mentioned tariffs and the IRS, but I'm also eager to hear.
It's like
Mr. Secretary,
suspicious
from you
how much everybody
about
likes
our economic
Bessent.
approach to the Russian-Ukraine war,
But yeah,
especially
they
in
fuck
light
with
of
him.
last week's mineral deal and recent questions about our sanctions regime on
Okay,
Russia.
GM, round two.
Former
Plays already
Secretary
popped.
Mnuchin, whom I believe you know, sir, and I disagreed on some things. But we still
Starbucks
found ways
too.
to work in a bipartisan fashion to inspire confidence in the economy. Mr. Secretary, I look forward to doing the same with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, see what Bessent, again, no pre-written statements
We
yet.
welcome the testimony of the Honorable Scott Bessent,
Bessent.
Secretary of the United States Department of Treasury. Secretary, without objection, your written testimony will be entered into the record. With that in mind, we ask you to please summarize your opening statement in 5 minutes.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, the Congressman Hoyer, Ranking Member, the Chairman Joyce, Ranking Member Hoyer, and members of the subcommittee. I'm grateful to join you today. Treasury is eager to work with members of Congress to fund key priorities to strengthen our economy, and we look forward to coordinating with you on the President's budget as soon as it is released. Today, I wish to highlight the Department's efforts
GM
to boost
still going.
U.S. economic growth, improve government efficiency.
Okay, I have
and
this
target
statement now.
illicit actors that threaten our national security. The core components of the Trump economic agenda are trade,
You didn't talk about
tax cuts,
IRS
and deregulation. These are not standalone policies.
and
They are
professional
interlocking
services
parts
and
of an
contracts
engine
and licenses.
designed to drive economic growth and domestic
So yeah,
manufacturing.
nothing on that statement yet,
Tax cuts
but
and cost
again,
savings
market
from
likes it every time he's
deregulation
talked.
raise real incomes for families and businesses. Tariffs create an incentive for reshoring jobs and fair trade. And
Okay, Wells Fargo
deregulation
going up.
complements tariffs by
GM
making it
getting
easier
more
to
volume
invest
now at the
in
high after
energy
running.
and manufacturing projects. Already, this agenda is bearing fruit. In the first 100 days of the new administration, 464,000 new jobs were added to the economy. In April alone, over 177,000 American jobs were added, more than 40,000 more than economists predicted. All the while, unemployment remains low while real hourly wages continue to grow. As important as spurring job growth is wrangling inflation. And in this endeavor, the administration continues to make tangible progress. The CPI for energy goods declined in March, as did the price index for core goods. And the CPI for all items declined for the first time since the COVID pandemic. While the cost of goods is decreasing, so are energy prices. Complementary to our efforts to grow American prosperity, we are focused on improving efficiency across all levels of government, but especially the IRS. We just concluded a successful tax
Yeah, I think
filing
they're gonna,
season,
because they
but the
started
IRS
talking a lot of
still needs
IRS, and
significant
that's all I see
reforms
on
to
his
deliver
pre-written
efficient
statement,
and
IRS.
cost-friendly results for the American people. In this endeavor, we have successfully cut $2 billion from the IRS IT budget without any operational disruptions. We achieved these cost savings by eliminating, renegotiating, and de-scoping wasteful IT and professional services contracts and addressing long-standing inefficiencies, such as auto-renewed licenses unused for years. This intervention alone will save taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars each year. We are also taking steps at the IRS to reduce administrative costs with a particular focus on paper processing, which has been a long-standing bipartisan goal. Last year, the IRS spent approximately $450 million.
Sorry, he hasn't said
on paper
anything, but right when he
processing,
got
with
on, the
nearly
market just ripped. I'm
6,500
telling you, they
full-time
love him.
staff dedicated to the task.
But yeah, head on his swivel,
Policy
though. This all
changes
means
and
nothing. It's still
automation,
very early.
Treasury aims to reduce this expense to under $20 million by the end of President Trump's second term. In addition,
Okay,
to making
Nvidia's
government
going
more
up, too.
efficient,
If you
Treasury
notice,
is
high
committed to
tickers
working
still got
alongside
a
the
little bit
White
of
House
juice.
to make America safe again. To that end, we have launched a maximum pressure campaign against violent cartels and terrorist networks. We have assessed tens of millions of dollars in civil penalties against organizations facilitating money laundering along the southern border, and by leveraging sanctions, we are choking off the financial lifelines of terrorists, criminals, and hackers from Mexico and Guatemala to China and Iran. In the first 100 days of the new administration, we have set the table for a robust economy that allows Main Street to grow.
Yeah, no more plays.
With
Please
Congress
don't
and the
post
White
them.
House working hand in hand,
Thank
we
you.
expect to see even more
You
positive
guys will get
results over
timeouts
the
and
next few
then
months.
bans eventually.
Key to expanding economic
Post info,
opportunity for all
assume
Americans
everybody is pumping.
making the Trump tax cuts permanent. We look forward to working closely with the members of this committee to pass this bill into law.
Okay, GM in Ford
Together, we
again.
can build a
Whatever
stronger,
that was,
safer,
that
and more
hit.
prosperous America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I now recognize myself for the first questions. Secretary, let's fast forward a year. Where do you see the U.S. with respect to tariffs and the overarching strategy? Do you anticipate all trade deals being bilateral, or could there be multi-country trade pacts of which groups of countries agree
I
to a
love
tariff
this. So you
schedule?
could tell, just see who looks down when they ask their question or not.
Mr. Chairman, this will be path dependent on our trade partners.
10 years,
As
let
I've
it
said
roll, baby.
before,
Amen.
there are 18 very
Yeah,
important
oil's up 4.
trading
That's the difference. Oil was
relationships.
down a lot the last 2
We
days.
are currently negotiating with 17 of those trading partners. China, we have not engaged in negotiations with as of yet. So I expect that we can see a substantial reduction in the tariffs that we are being charged, as well as non-tariff barriers, currency manipulation, and the subsidies of both labor and capital investment. So that is proceeding very well. Many of our trading partners have approached us with very good offers.
So we
and
heard
We
yesterday.
are in the process of renegotiating those. With the economy, I would say that this is a three-legged stool: trade, tax, and deregulation. Trade was first. The House, according to Speaker Johnson, expects to move their portion of the bill over to the Senate on or
Have
about
not engaged with China. That was the
Memorial
cold
Day, so
water
we're
from
looking
yesterday.
forward to that. And then deregulation.
That's why I was like, oh.
Necessarily takes longer to affect the economy, but I would expect in the third and fourth quarters, we would see substantial benefits from deregulation that by this time last year could be at full force.
We've seen a few numbers discussed in terms of how many countries with whom you have started tariff negotiations. What is the actual number, and what is the status of those negotiations? How many deals do you anticipate by the end of the year, in the first quarter of 2026 or the second quarter? And what are the biggest challenges you see to negotiating tariffs and getting trade deals done?
Again, sir, approximately 97 or 98% of our trade deficit is with 15 countries. 18% of the countries are our major trading partners.
Europop?
And
I
would
see a
be
headline on
surprised
Chancellor
that if
Merz.
we don't have more
I think
than
he was
80 or
elected by
90% of
Parliament in
those
second round of voting. That
wrapped
could
up
be
by
it.
the end of the year. And
Then we're getting to the
that
high
may
of the
be
day.
much
You're
simpler.
5 points off.
That I would
So this
think
could change.
that perhaps as early as this week, we will be announcing trade deals with some of our largest trading partners. They have come to us with very good offers. And what I will tell you is that in negotiating with some of them, they may not like the tariff wall that President Trump has put up, but they have them. So if tariffs are so bad, why do they like them? And then more insidious, we can see that from a practical matter and from academic research are the non-tariff barriers. If you were to look prior to the escalation, I believe Chinese tariffs are only 5%. So clearly there's something else going on.
Okay, and NVIDIA's still going there too.
Surpluses.
Everything, right when he came on, the market just pumped, dude.
Budget for the year, fiscal year
Okay, now it's getting a little bigger. Bessent, many
budget calls for
trading. No,
approximately $2.5 billion.
I think it's just
for the
breaking out
IRS.
at the high.
As you know, Congress has been pulling back money.
He hasn't said
from the
anything
IRS
you
over the
haven't
last
heard
several
yet.
years.
And then you
Somewhere
have
in the range of
Germany.
about
I think
41.7
Homeboy got
billion.
elected finally.
Some may ask, what's left to cut from the IRS? What would you talk about your vision for the IRS and why streamlining operations will benefit taxpayers and not hurt them?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the IRS is 30 years behind on an IT modernization project where perhaps up to $50 billion of taxpayer money has been wasted. We are right-sizing that. So the substantial decrease in the IRS budget.
Trade deals may come as
largely
soon as
in
this
IT.
week.
We have had a
Yeah,
large number
that's what
of
they've been saying. Just no China, though. That's the problem.
Take the option for early retirement or for retirement. And again, let's look at the numbers. We are just taking the IRS back to where it was before the IRA bill substantially bloated the personnel and the infrastructure.
Thank you. And now recognize Ranking Member Hoyer for any questions he may have.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask you a broader question, Mr. Secretary, at the outset.
Okay, you're breaking out through the high now, so you literally just sold off 0.5%, recovered it all in, what, 30 minutes? And now you're back up to the opening high of the day, but you still got to fill the gap of another 0.5% to 0.8 on the
I
NASDAQ.
believe in data, and there is nothing in the data that shows that we are in a recession. As a matter of fact, the jobs report has surprised to the upside.
The job report, of course, less than the average for the Biden administration last in 2024. But the GDP went down this first quarter of the Trump administration.
Bessent repeats deals again.
If we have
That's it, bro. They're just pumping what Bessent's saying. None of this is new. So just like yesterday, we had a lot of headlines, no reaction. You're getting a lot of reaction, no headline.
Of which the president speaks.
So think about that. So yeah, but you're moving. This is just the momentum.
These economic numbers are noisy and subject to substantial revision. So I, having looked at a detailed analysis, would believe that the first quarter GDP would be revised upward. And I would also, with regards to your remark about where we were last year, we were spending 6.7%. We had a 6.7% fiscal deficit, the largest we've ever had during peacetime or non-recessionary times. So
yeah,
the
bro, I
easy thing
feel.
would be to keep spending, to keep the economy running on an unsustainable path of government spending.
Let me remark, because you mentioned this, I think, in our meeting.
Remember, info, please, no plays.
Problem.
No more plays. Please read rule number 4.
Not a revenue
Thank
problem. I want to talk about the revenue problem. Let me suggest to you, my view is it's
I know,
neither
let's
a
see when he
revenue
does
nor
start
a
talking
spending
China,
problem.
but so
It's a
far he
pay-for
did.
problem.
He said no
If we
China
pay
deal.
for what we buy, whether it's defense or non-defense, we wouldn't increase the deficit. So I think looking at, I'm a big proponent of paying as you go. Unfortunately, we haven't pursued that on either side of the aisle, maybe for different objectives. Let me go to IRS. I want to, you probably know these
The
figures.
rules changed last
These are
night.
somewhat
I was
old
trying to
at this
change it a
point
week
in
or
time.
two ago. Like I was
But what
saying,
they
every
reflect,
week
as you will
I have to
see,
deal
is
with this. So
a
figured it out.
substantial decrease
Now we don't
in
have the problem
resources
anymore.
of the IRS,
So
particularly in enforcement.
yeah,
As the blue representing an increase in filings, the orange representing the nominal. and
okay.
the-
China's starting to move a little bit more. Some of those
Bottom line.
individuals lagged.
The net actual
Again,
value.
Bessent said
of
you're
the
not in a
funding for
recession.
IRS, particularly enforcement. The budget proposes substantial cuts. Have you or anybody done a analysis of the ramifications of those cuts, both in the short term and in the long term?
Yeah,
in terms
NVIDIA,
of
bro,
your
that
ability to
started
collect
it, low
revenue?
key.
Let me
And then watch
paraphrase-
JD Bob
not
bonds
paraphrase,
catching
but
a bid, and now
give a-
Bitcoin. That's dude. They just keep
your
reiterating. I see
discussions, you
all I
said
see
you
is
were not
Bessent
going to
comments over and over
sabotage
again. None of this is new.
that we had in my office.
Like I'm saying, I don't think
Sabotage
you heard him yesterday,
collections.
but I think market likes him.
Are
You're
you
not getting a
confident,
lot of headlines, but you're
in light of the
moving more
fact that
than
any IT,
what
and
we're
I
getting.
agree
It's
with
the
you,
opposite of
we
yesterday.
wasted a lot of money on IT.
But you're still not green
that
yet,
any
so I wouldn't
IT
get too
will be
don't get
accomplished
too jumpy.
within the next 36 to 48 months, and therefore justify a reduction in personnel?
Congressman, let me work backwards there. So I am confident that we will make substantial progress in the IT and right-size the payments.
Reddit, hedge eye,
payment
cautious
system,
comments.
The collection system. As I've repeatedly said, my priorities are collections,
Bro, it
privacy,
keeps
and
ripping.
customer service.
I'm
And,
laughing because it looks like his
again,
homeboy's announcing
the
shit, but he's not.
substantial increase in the enforcement
I told you, bro. They love him.
there is nothing that shows.
So yeah, you got another
historically
25 points
that
to
by
fill the
bringing
gap.
in
Again, we hit the lower
unseasoned
end on one of the other
collections
levels.
agents, that
But yeah,
it
just be
results
careful
in
because it's
more
not like this is
collections
concrete or
or
anything.
high-end collections. It would be like sending in a junior high school student to try to do a college level class. That the
Well, yes, exactly.
high-end
So usually when
IRS
when it goes up and they're like, "Why is it
agent
going up?" and I'm like, "No
is
reason."
something that one
An
grows
hour or
into.
two later, when we go
So,
down,
I believe
the same
through
exact story.
smarter IT, through this
so just watch out.
AI boom, that we can use that to
AI.
enhance collections. And I would expect that collections would continue to be very robust as they were this year.
Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Womack, for any questions he has.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your service and for being here today in front of my colleagues. I'm going to ask a question that I'm sure you've never been asked before, but I'll give it
Why they hate
try
on
here.
me, boy? What's up?
When is X date?
Oh, it's a great question. That's when the Treasury runs out of money.
Congressman, we are, as I said earlier, we still take.
Theoretically,
in a
you don't
large
really
amount
know, and it always changes
paper
depending on
returns.
receipts
So
and everything
every
else that they're doing.
Friday, I get a summary.
So you know,
and if you
Democrat
believe
guy,
it,
good question.
As you know.
I like it.
Tax day was April 15th. We are still tallying that. So that we don't have, we will share with Congress when we believe we are approximating that date. So that will be forthcoming. But I will tell you, just as an outfielder running for a fly ball, we are on the warning track. And when you're on the warning track, it means the wall's not far away.
So it's not today,
But it's close.
may not be next week, but it is fast approaching.
And of course, the United States government will never default.
That's
we
good.
will raise the debt ceiling, and Treasury will not use any gimmicks. We will make sure that the debt ceiling is raised.
You have already answered a couple of questions about the president's budget, and I'm going to ask.
Yeah, that's not a
maybe a
good
little
quote,
differently.
but so now on the wire, we are on the
president's
warning
budget
track
request
for
for
reaching
fiscal
debt
26
ceiling.
looks
But
very
like I said,
different
that's a
from
difficult. It is a
President
difficult
Biden's
question. No one really
budget
knows that
just
answer.
last year.
But then
And
it
I
has
have
to do with
been a
running out of
longtime
money in the
proponent
Treasury.
of getting our fiscal house in order, and I applaud the president's attempt to get our fiscal house in order. During my tenure as chairman of the House Budget Committee many years ago, I co-chaired the Joint Select Committee on Budget and Appropriations Process Reform, and many of our recommendations are included in Trump's requests. It's no secret we're heading toward a big and needed change within the federal bureaucracy. That said, his budget request for the Treasury is $11.5 billion, compared to FY25 enacted at $14.2. Now that's a 19% decrease. You've already mentioned that we have savings achieved in contracts regarding IT services and this sort of thing, and we've saved the American public a lot. But you've also said that IT remains one of our biggest challenges, particularly within the IRS. So how is it that you're going to operate with a smaller budget that still serves the needs of the American people?
Sir, part of that has been bringing people back to the office. So on March 10th, we reinstituted a work from your office program. And again, I think
Is
it's going to
NVO
be
still a buy? I
efficiency.
think it's
We
decent, but unfortunately,
have
that
have asked for
NVO
more
is
money
up like
for many of the
18%
priorities.
since we last bought it.
The
So
Treasury
usually when you buy a play that I'm up on,
Foreign
you're going to
Intelligence
lose.
Network,
So it's
and
up to
the
you,
Office
but
of
I probably
Foreign
wouldn't do
Asset
that.
Control, OFAC, so we will be keeping the American people safer. And again, we think through efficiency gains, the federal government historically does not have productivity increases. And as I've continually pointed out,
Okay, Reddit getting
DOGE
clapped on
is
those
the
comments.
Office of Government
And then win on the
efficiency, not
high.
the Office of
Keep that
Government
in mind even with
extinction,
China.
or eradication.
Yeah,
So,
Wynn did that
I
yesterday,
think
too.
that it is not a big leap to do much more with less.
Are there $2.5 billion worth of efficiencies?
Well, again, just two of it is in the IT department. And if you were to look, Treasury processes about 1.5 billion payments per year, which is like a mid-sized U.S. regional bank. We have had many of these banks come in and talk to us about their payment programs, and their departments are 1/10 the size and 1/10 the budget.
Oh, X-Fair,
So
baby.
allowing for
Thank
the
you.
redundancies that we would need
Good
as a
morning.
government agency,
Good
then
morning.
we think that we do need to be bigger and more fulsome, but there are substantial savings to be had.
I want to ask one more quick question, because I know we're probably not going to have a second round. You have been a proponent for better financial literacy
Okay,
in
the
this
long
country,
term, if
and-
you got
and
one of
your
my gifted members,
background
tell
is,
them.
is evidence of that. Quickly.
Okay,
can we
Reddit's
do
still
a
low.
better job
Bonds
in this
finally
country of
catching a bid
educating
too.
young
See if we
people
break
on
out
matters
and
of
bonds
financial
start
literacy?
trending.
Sir,
Is gold still up?
Any increase that we do
No, gold
would be
gold's coming
a better
down.
job, but we just hosted
Again, bro,
Financial
Bessent is just
Literacy
a
Month
fucking therapist.
at the Treasury.
The market
I
is
only
very
had
calm when they're
2
around
months
him.
to get ready for it. I can tell you that every April, we're going to do more and more. But the key to financial independence is financial literacy, making good choices.
Amen.
And not, I don't think it
Okay, the
comes
long
from
term.
more regulation. I think it comes from
Okay,
more financial
bonds just going
education.
crazy.
Thank you very much.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Pocan, for 5 minutes.
Okay, SPY ticked
Thank
up
you,
a
Mr.
little
Chairman.
bit, still moving
And thank you,
slower,
Mr.
but
Secretary,
again,
for being
gold,
with us.
bond dynamic,
My
dollars
main
kind of
concern
changing.
is, I think, what people are looking at the economy. The first 100 days, lowest stock market since Richard Nixon, not usually a measure people are shooting for. On tariffs, the fact that last year we had an effective rate about 2.5%. I think the Yale Budget Lab, and I believe you went to Yale, has said that effective rate is closer to 28%, the highest since 1901. I know that some of that's changed because the tariffs are on again, off again, some on
He said
again,
we'll
some
never
off again.
default and we won't use
somewhat
gimmicks.
chaotic. I
That's the
believe
only
is-
thing
is
that could
your
have moved
term
the
is
bonds there,
crazy
but
Ivan
think
style.
we're
I
moving a
compare
lot
them to
more
how a monkey throws
than what he's
dung.
saying.
You're not exactly sure where they're going to land, and that's the concern I have as a small business owner, and I know Ms. Luzenkamp Perez is as well. I've got small businesses really worried.
yeah, the default would be the
you
only
made a
thing I could say
comment
this.
about while cargo volumes have dropped 60%, you see this as a temporary detox. But for a small business that's getting by day to day, that's much bigger. You talked about Main Street. We want to finally focus on Main Street, not Wall Street. I think you were at a global investor conference in Beverly Hills yesterday. That's the cocktail party where you mentioned the crazy Ivan theory. And before that, you were at a JP Morgan Chase World Bank private investor summit. All those things are not Main Street, right? Main Street is an auto body repair, a specialty printer. So my concern is on the tariffs. Who pays tariffs, Mr. Secretary? Answer the questions I asked, please. I only have 5 minutes. Who pays tariffs?
Sorry, well.
Who pays tariffs?
This guy seems
Mr.
terrible.
Secretary, please.
Excuse me.
The question is very simply, who pays tariffs, Mr. Chairman? I'd like him to answer that question.
Well,
He wants to answer other
Oh,
questions.
wow, dude.
Congressman, if the
Dang, so they might.
Congressman,
He's
if
actually.
the exporters.
Are you ready? He is the
They,
co-chair
just like tariffs
of the
so much,
Congressional
why wouldn't
LGBT
they,
Equality
if-
Caucus.
I think what you're trying to get me to say.
Did you remember the question? I'm not sure you
so
did.
they got
Who pays
beef, bro.
tariffs?
That
Because
it's a
Bessent
very
represents
complicated
that on the
question.
Republican
Reclaiming my
side.
time. People
And
pay
now, so
tariffs,
I
right?
think
I'm
this beef is
reclaiming my time, Mr.
nothing.
Secretary.
no-
Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary.
no,
Reclaiming my time. You clearly aren't going to answer. I'm not going to waste my time having you
Reclaiming
go.
my time.
Mr. Secretary,
The
reclaiming.
exporters can
Mr.
pay
Chairman,
tariffs,
I asked reclaiming my
importers can
time.
pay Tariffs.
Mr. Chairman, and I asked to reclaim my time. Did I not? No, I said reclaiming my time because he's clearly not answering it. So, yeah. So, as a small business owner, and unfortunately, I'd like that time
What did
back
this guy
since you
do?
it failed to recognize me for 30 seconds.
I
So,
there's
I just
like-
recently from one of my
I don't even
suppliers
know where
got
he's
the
worked.
tariff surcharge on things.
I can't even
In
find this
addition to
guy's
tariff
resume.
surcharge, guess what else got raised? American-made walnut plaques. That has nothing to do with tariffs, but companies take advantage and do that. So right now, we are getting screwed right and left because of the indiscriminate use of tariffs. That's the reality for Main Street. And you go off to Beverly Hills for private investor conferences and talk about crazy Ivan theories. Answer that. What is the crazy Ivan theory of tariffs that you mentioned at the summit?
Well, first of all, sir, I've had meetings with more than 50 small lenders. So I want to clarify that. I would also say that in game theory,
I
strategic
mean, it's not like
uncertainty
Milken. I agree
of
that
which,
Milken isn't
you seem
for
to
like
the name
Main
Crazy
Street, but
Ivan.
Well, it's your words.
I highly doubt
you
this
use
guy.
Crazy Ivan at the-
These are the
Oh,
same
you've
people
used it 5
advocating for
times,
rate cuts that
and
only benefited
the-
fucking Wall Street.
I
So,
am saying this strategic
That's why I'm kind of.
uncertainty is
I
part of
don't understand the
negotiations.
outrage
That should we say,
Okay,
here's what we'll accept.
because
Please
that
take
Milken
note.
thing
I've
kind
got your
of calmed
answer. Thank
things
you. I'm
down
gonna
more than
reclaim my time
anything.
again. So for a small business, we don't have that luxury, right? When the ports are empty in California and we can't get
Bro,
goods,
has
and
this?
people
I
are
don't think this
stocking up for
guy's ever
Christmas
worked a
goods.
job.
Crazy Ivan is great for
I can't find
please
any
don't take
resume
offense,
on his
really rich
private
people like you.
career.
But for people like me, it's not, right? That's what makes
kind of
small
insane.
businesses fail. That's what makes people lose their jobs. That's what makes the stock market tank. So I'll ask one more time.
No,
who
usually it tells you that
pays
they worked as a
tariffs?
teacher.
The history would show that it is a
Like, you know what I'm saying?
complicated
Like, most of your
mix
politicians,
who
you're
pays
like, wow,
tariffs
they're great.
over
All their
various times.
experience was.
So that's
was
exactly
they
the
worked
problem.
as a teacher
If your
or
answer,
some
you are a very educated person.
professing
You have a very
job, and then they
impressive
go
bio.
straight to Congress.
Cannot answer the question
can't
who
find
pays
shit
tariffs
on this
because you
dude.
won't answer that, and you say it's a complicated issue. It's not complicated. Consumers pay Trump's tariff tax.
So he's
That's
on the House
reality.
Finance Committee,
And,
but I don't
I'll yield
under-
back, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know
but
what his
do think
background
next
is.
time, if I asked to yield back, I would appreciate having my time yelled back.
Chair now recognizes the gentle lady from Iowa, Ms. Hinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and answer our questions. I appreciate what the Trump administration is doing to try to level the playing field for American
In
consumers.
July 2024,
and
Pokin
restore our
called for
economy to
Joe
where it needs
Biden to
be. So I
withdraw
really
from
appreciate
the
work that you
election.
are doing to make that happen, Mr. Secretary. And I
You don't even
certainly,
like
as an
Joe Biden.
appropriator, recognize the importance of making sure that every tax dollar is spent appropriately. And
That's
I
the only
appreciate
thing
your
I can
opening
find on
comments
it, bro.
as such. So with that, the
Like, have you
GAO
worked a
estimates the federal
JOB?
government
Where you have a
loses
JOB?
between
Anybody?
233
He's like, Job?
and
No, a job, bro. You
$521
don't even read the
billion
Bible.
annually to fraud. Those are alarming numbers, hard-earned tax dollars just wasted. President Trump has certainly acknowledged the absurdity of this level of waste, and he signed Executive Order 14249 to protect America's bank account against waste, fraud, and abuse. And I was proud to support this effort by introducing a piece of legislation to codify that, the Protecting American Taxpayers from Wasteful Spending Act. One of the provisions of this EO is directed at your department, the Department of Treasury, to establish pre-certification and pre-award procedures across the federal government to prevent fraud and improper payments. So can you define for the committee today what an improper payment is and some examples of what you're seeing and why these procedures were not already in place before, Mr. Secretary?
Well, it's a bit mystifying why they weren't in place. And what we are seeing is that there was a very complacent upper level of management in many departments across the entire.
Yeah, his brother's a judge, and his brother was in
across
Congress,
the
but their
entire
dad.
government,
That's
that
it, the
what
other
I
guy.
can
That's
say
weird,
at
though.
Treasury,
They're just
that
politic
of
babies.
The 1.5 billion payments we send out every year, they're required to have something called a TAS, a Treasury account symbol. We discovered that more than one third of those payments did not have a TAS number. So as the
Dan, oil's
Appropriations
still been
Committee,
climbing?
you should be shocked by that.
Again, you had a
because
Euro move
how
on the
can a payment be
MERS
tracked
election.
back to an appropriation? Only through the TAS number. So there was no accountability. So that is why the 450 organizations that sit above Treasury, where Treasury acts as the paymaster, are unable to pass it
Sudan
on.
to cut ties with the
So,
United Arab
We
Emirates.
have the crackdown on that. Every payment now requires a TAS number. Very simple, and I will tell you that the mid-level employees who I have had come into Treasury to talk to me about that feel liberated. That they have, they tell me, I've been here 20 years. I've always wanted to do this. I've been here 14 years, and they feel as though they now have agency and are making a difference towards saving the American taxpayer money.
So this is not only a complacency issue that you've fixed, but it's a morale issue for these employees who are helping to make the department much more efficient for taxpayers.
They're very energized by their participation.
Yeah. It's certainly unbelievable when you think about that this was not in place, and certainly
JD, more
we've got
China.
lots of examples from the previous administration of some of those catastrophic
And then Spy
failures.
chilling out.
Who would you say is benefiting from those improper payments, and how could a
JD,
government
decent
agency
pop.
really justify standing idly by while those errors were seeping into our system and making our government less efficient?
Can't speak to who was benefiting, but I can just speak to the attitude that has been shaken up, that this is okay, this is not okay, and this is taxpayer money, and we are charged with protecting it.
What other plans are in place to help implement that executive order? You've talked about the Treasury account symbol. Are there other things in that executive order that you are executing on today?
Again, the president, as you mentioned, has passed. We are trying to go more paperless with the checks, with the very important checks that the citizens across the U.S. receive, whether it's Social Security, veterans benefits, tax refunds. There is a substantial number of those are stolen. So the president has issued an executive order to try to make that more electronic. That will protect the integrity of those payments as well as cut down on cost.
Have you been able to claw back any improper payments for the taxpayer, reclaim those dollars?
Yes, we've called back tens of millions of dollars.
Tens of millions. Well, look forward to continuing to work with you to improve those efficiencies and execute on that executive order. Appreciate the work you're doing at Treasury, Mr. Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you.
I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Henson. Chair now recognizes the gentle lady from Washington, Mrs. Glusenkamp Perez.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Secretary Bessent, for being here. So I ran an auto repair shop before coming here, and I know that people who are turning wrenches, who are filing an earned income tax credit or tax return, they're about 4 times more likely to be audited. And I'm wondering if you could talk to me about what the plan is for ensuring that regardless of what income strata you're in, your probability of being audited is equitable.
Well, Congresswoman, I think that was one of the problems with increasing the enforcement. There was nothing to say that there would have been more enforcement at any distributional level. So that what you were saying is that those receiving the earned income tax credit are more likely to
NVO earnings is tomorrow.
be audited. That would have just meant more auditing. There was also a proposal to track small payments, $600 on Venmo, and things like that.
NVO getting
which has
worked
been
though,
pushed
bro.
back Also,
Again, Eli Lilly's
But
down
what is the
3-2.
forward program to ensure that there is an equitable? I have some quarrels with what you said, but what is the plan, the implementation plan to ensure moving forward we are getting towards a more equitable enforcement rate?
look, we are reviewing the processes for who is audited at the IRS. There's been a great deal of politicization of that. So we are trying to stop that. And we are also going to look at the
Nikki T
distribution
tweet.
of who is audited and why they are audited.
Look forward to hearing more about how that is being implemented and how we can help.
Yeah,
with
you could
that.
transfer your long term from one
So I
broker
think you
to
and
another.
I agree that the current trading system has failed working people who are turning wrenches, driving trucks, changing diapers. Could you expand on how the proposed tariffs would ensure that there is upward pressure on wages?
Well, I think that there
Yeah,
are
Timmy
many
on no rate
parts
cuts,
to
pretty
that,
much.
But the key to upward pressure on wages is more job opportunities.
I think the move, it already moved
And
big
what
after
we have
Bessent. That was
seen
crazy.
since what the
I was telling you
so-called
this whole
China
day, like
shock
how much they
after
liked
China
him. We talked
entered
about
the
this on the
WTO
Watchlist last night too,
was
but
a large
right when he
decrease
started
in
speaking, it just went up.
manufacturing jobs.
Statement or not, it
And
didn't even
studies
fucking matter.
have shown that
But I do think
workers
today
in
had a lot of move
manufacturing
based on
jobs
nothing.
have
So the
more
reverse of yesterday, we had a
potential
lot
for
and then little
large-scale
move.
wage increases
But
in
yeah, you're
service
already
workers.
kind of reacting, even
So
though he hasn't
moving
said
more
anything new. I don't
workers
think any of
from
this is new
service work
information.
to manufacturing should do that. And the administration is also trying to bring down the cost for working families.
I agree, right? If you are trying to earn a living as a barber, you have to move to a city to earn a high wage. But if you're in a rural community where there's a factory job, you can own land, you can own your home. And I think one of your points about financial literacy is ensuring that we do have economic self-determination. You can buy the pair of boots that will last 5 years and not be in this pace. But there's a lot of work to do here, building real wealth and not the nominal kind of, I'm not really here to be a defender of the stock market. Most of the people I know don't trade stocks in my community. It's a question of being able to own land, having that capital access to start your own business, and frankly, some of the antitrust work to ensure there's a level playing field for small businesses like mine. I'm hearing from constituents who have questions about their tax returns and are having trouble getting a real person on the line to speak to. What can we do? What is your plan for decreasing wait times, for having somebody be able to actually talk to a human being when they call the IRS?
Well, again, this goes back to my three priorities: collection, privacy, and customer service. So we are moving money into customer service at the IRS. And it's almost unimaginable that the phone banks had the same number of operators 24/7, 365 days a year. So if one of your constituents called on Christmas Eve, they'd probably get through because there were so many idle phones. If they called on April 14th, there was no surge to
I've
help
called
them.
the IRS once, and
President
I was
Trump
on hold for
repeatedly
3
said
hours.
This is a common sense administration, so we're going to
wicked.
have common sense for the IRS.
Hey,
Playoff
Bonds leading.
season
Russia,
is
Putin
the-
holds
for the
call
first-
with
from
Netanyahu.
January 15th
No
to
shit.
April 15th, game days.
So,
April
but yeah,
15th,
you're
we're
moving
gonna
up
make
either
sure
way.
that's
But now
better
this
staffed
time,
up.
bonds are leading.
Thank you.
They're still kind of down on the day, but that's as the market stayed pinned here at the high for 20 minutes. Now the bonds actually advanced.
Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. I think it was Albert Einstein who said that you can't solve problems with the same kind of thinking you used when you created them. And that's one of the things I certainly appreciate about you and the Trump administration and what you're bringing to the table. For a long time, we've seen the managed decline
Rivian
of
on the high,
America,
too, now.
And while many who
Well,
run for
PZA,
positions that
I was
we
like,
hold
pizza?
will campaign on the need to do something, what we've seen is too often, and even
All right,
some of
Baba
the
as well.
politicking
China.
we've seen today, for the sake of politics,
Kind of almost matched up,
we've
actually.
not been able to do
shit.
the big hard
Yeah.
things that we need to
So
to
now
change
everything's
course and
matched
get
up
us
here.
out of the
SPY,
36
bonds, NASDAQ. NASDAQ's still behind.
$1
SPY doing a little better.
pathway
Again,
and growing
I just think
pathway that we're
Bessent
on,
talking
leading to that
is
wall that you
was
talked
all you
about.
needed. You didn't
The
really need
American
new
people
info.
have
You
watched
just needed
this
the
all
voice
play
of
out,
reason.
realizing that their nation's been in decline and seeing what they thought was kind of the promise that if we put the experts in charge, they would run the government.
No,
we'd
you
have
still
a
have
regulatory
0.3 to
pattern
fill
that
the gap,
worked,
believe it or not.
The wealth gap would close, America would be strong, and
What's
that has not
NIX?
happened.
NIXX and then
What
NLR.
did the experts get wrong that you're correcting?
Uranium.
Well, sir, under President Trump's first administration, the wealth gap did close. That the bottom 50% of households by net worth saw their net worth increase substantially more than
Yeah, the
top
Baba plays
10%.
did good, so
And
I
we
made
are
them
aiming
free
to do
already.
that again.
So do your thing. You got about
Under
any of the
President
plays on
Trump's
Friday
first
went up
term,
50%.
hourly
The K-Webs went
workers'
up 200%.
wage gains were higher
And then you
than
had another set of
supervisory
Babas up 30. So
And look,
every
what
Baba
people
China play
got
from Friday
wrong
is up. So do
was
something with
the
it.
shock.
Otherwise,
And there
that's
was
on
this
you.
terrible policy.
But I've already
It
moved.
was essentially compensate the losers. And I do not think that the American workers are losers. They were simply cast aside as the
Said they're not
necessary
losers. Amen.
collateral damage in this unfettered free trade. And the free trade is not always fair trade, and we can see that from the large surpluses that these countries are accumulating on the other side. So we are aiming for fair trade to bring back high-paying precision manufacturing jobs to the U.S., and we are doing that. We're using tariffs, but we were also using
Okay, Pindua, more
substantial
China.
deregulation, energy dominance. So
Habibi.
we want to continue to make the U.S. an even more attractive location for manufacturing.
It's interesting you talk about manufacturing. I think it was in 2008, the intelligence community put out a report. I talk about it a lot because they said the greatest transition of wealth, power, and influence is happening right now. And this was some years ago. They said we expect it to continue, and it was going from the Western countries to the Eastern countries. And they said it was happening because we were sending manufacturing overseas and we were sending oil and gas revenues overseas. And yet they said it was like an unsolvable solution, yet we have the Trump administration who's coming in and solving what seems to be not an easy solution, but a very clear solution in bringing manufacturing back and bringing oil and gas back. And appreciate it. I wanted to ask you, because there was a comment about the bond markets, and certainly that's really is a concern. We need to make sure that they stay strong and that the dollar stays strong.
No big Bessent
Are the
headlines.
bond
A lot of
markets
it's
more
new,
affected
the
by
same info,
the
but
tariffs and the concern
I
we
think
see
the
in them now,
market
are they more affected by the
likes
tariffs
hearing
or
him.
out of
That's
control
it.
debt and the fact that
but
Congress
no real headline.
can't seem
He
to
did
get
say
our
we'll
fiscal
never
house in order?
default. Talked a little
Well,
bit about
you
the
know,
debt
I
ceiling,
will
but
tell you
and then the
that
trade deal still delayed on
large
China, but that's
stock
it.
of government debt is why I'm sitting here now.
Okay, Baba, round two now.
The private sector.
So again, the plays are doing very well. I'm actually surprised. That's why I was quick to make them free, but they're all moving now.
Highest ever.
Because remember, we've
That when
broke
we
the
weren't at
record.
war,
We've been
we're in
chilling,
a
but
recession, and it's
meanwhile,
unsustainable.
China
And I thought it was
held and
deeply
has been
cynical.
advancing.
And if we'd done it, if we'd continued it, then we would have gone into a malaise where we couldn't grow ourselves out. We would have probably been forced into looking more like a European-style economy.
Yeah, he doesn't
very
want to
high
say
government spending,
recession.
lack of innovation. And
So
lack
we
of
almost
growth.
got forced into
And that would matter for us.
being
here at home,
European.
certainly even for the world, because we've kind of been the innovation engine of the world.
Yes,
got
sir.
forced
And
into
what we've created in the
European
U.S.
economics.
is this barbell economy, and the Trump administration is attempting to remedy that. On one side, we have financial services and the tech sector.
401k is
which
like a
are
long-term, it's
forward-looking
just
and
not
envying
like
the
as
world.
liquid.
On the other side,
But
we are a
I would
natural
still make sure you're
resources
saving an
economy
additional
led by
10%.
Energy, which the
But
previous
at
administration
minimum, it's a
did
long-term,
refuse
but
and
you could
stop
add,
permitting
and you
for
could have two
LNG
of them.
facilities.
But yes is the
The
answer.
arc in between is what we are missing, are these manufacturing jobs, and that's what we are trying to bring back.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Ivy, for 5 minutes of question.
Yeah, he pretty much said 17 of 18 trading partners have deals and are willing,
appreciate
aka
you being
China's
here today,
the one
Mr. Secretary.
that they're holding out on. Or
I
we
want to
have no
ask you a
updates
few
on.
questions about Doge and the role it's playing at Treasury. You came into office, I guess you were sworn in on the 27th, was it? You were confirmed by the Senate on the 27th? Is that about right?
TMC mineral
28th? Okay.
plays or metal
And then you
plays going
started
up
working
again.
at Treasury immediately after that? All right, and Doge began working there as well with respect to the payment systems?
Two individuals from Doge who were actually Treasury employees were on site.
Okay. and I believe you were approached by
He's gonna say
the
something.
highest-ranking career official at
This
Treasury.
lady's looking.
David.
She's
Lebrick.
looking like
Am I
drama's
pronouncing
about
his
to
name
drop.
correctly?
She's
I
like,
believe
wait,
it's
that
Lebrick.
other look was.
Lebrick? Okay.
She's like, are you gonna say it?
What was the nature of that conversation? I assume this was about
I'm
the
sensing
Doge
drama.
issue, but tell me briefly what that conversation was about.
Well, that conversation was about a discussion of the payment system. And when I go back to what I didn't know, I think I walked in the office around 3 p.m., and I think he and I were having a conversation at 4:30, and
I got to ask for the short version.
Oh, no.
Okay.
But I will tell you that when we were talking about the tasks, that it was people like this individual who were hitting
And
send
then remember,
on the payments.
new rules. Read the
So,
rules.
I've come to find out.
Post the
that
information.
part of the
Okay, I
Nobody
apologize.
wants the
I'll have
plays
to get
anymore.
that later from you. Feel free to send in substance of the discussion in a letter. But I guess what I was going to ask was, you just mentioned there were two people who were working with respect to Doge at the time.
Yeah, they're
Yes,
trying
sir.
to.
And,
Is it Elon trap?
Mark Elez was one of those?
Mark
I'm not sure.
Not sure?
NAGE.
You're not familiar with that name?
Is this
I
not
don't
you
recall
and
that
Mark
name.
Elez?
I
Hey,
interviewed
you get
Tom
coffee?
Krause and personally recommended him to work at Treasury.
Okay. Well, Mr. Elez had worked
Oh yeah,
at
decent pop. NAGE
Mr. Musk's
biotech,
SpaceX
3%,
company.
one candle
and the Wall Street Journal
is
issued
fake.
a
I mean,
story, I think around February 7th, that talked about statements that Mr. Elez had made in the prior year.
Oh,
One
this is the
was,
racist kid.
You could not
Yeah.
pay me to marry outside my ethnicity.
Yeah, I told you it was gonna be dramatic.
Another was
I told
that he
you
wanted to
it was. She
normalize
was the
Indian
tell.
hate. The third was,
I know when a dramatic
just for the
asshole be
record, I was
staring. I
racist
know what's
before it
gonna
was
happen.
cool.
Yeah, I think
And
I'm
another was,
Stop it.
I just want a eugenic immigration policy. Is that
bringing
too
up
much
fucking
to ask?
tweets
This
about
man
who this guy
resigned.
said he married. You don't know this guy?
Shortly after that article was published, but
How did
you,
I
haven't-
know?
you don't recall
How did I
him being there?
know?
Congressman, I did not recall that
I know who you
individual's
hanging
name,
around with.
but that individual was
Fucking
terminated.
instigating
He was
ass in
terminated.
the
Okay.
background. I
Well, I
smelled
appreciate
it.
that. Although it appears that he then later
I
turned
told
up.
no her. She was like smirking. That's
and
why
he
I was like, wait a
rehired,
minute,
I
he's about to
guess,
say
and that
something.
he's
Not
continuing-
by
It's about to be
Treasury, sir.
dramatic.
Okay, but he was continuing to do work.
Now
for
they're
Doge,
asking
but in
Scott
this instance,
Bessent about
HHS
Treasury workers'
other,
tweets from years ago.
departments.
I
You have no idea.
I didn't follow his career.
Okay. Wait, you didn't catch J.D. Vance saying that he didn't think he should be terminated? Did you miss that too?
I don't recall that.
All right. Do you recall Mr. Trump saying that he should have a second chance?
I don't recall that.
No. Okay. And
No.
do you,
Well, it's
do you
good.
recall Mr. Musk?
I think he's
saying
focused
he
on
should
his job.
be given a second chance as well?
No, sir.
All right. Well, I guess the main question too here is, what exactly was the vetting practice that you had in place before you brought on these two people and gave them access to the payment system, which is $6 trillion?
Well, sir, they did not have access to the payment system, or perhaps we have a different definition of access.
Fucking Bessent,
only
dude.
Had
What a smooth motherfucker, dude.
Abilities.
Well, maybe we have a
And
different
it was
definition
for-
of access.
They were
not
there for
bot.
tech support to look at. the
Telling you, bro,
payment
he got
system,
some.
the
He got Powell
ERP
in him, bro.
system, just
He
like
know how
any
to
private
fucking
enterprise.
dance, bro. He could bob and weave.
Is this an individual that you would have brought on even in that capacity if you'd known
This is
that
why
he'd made
everybody
these
like him.
statements prior to him becoming part of that team?
Congressman, that I think it's very difficult to monitor everyone's social media.
That's not what I asked.
before they're
If you
hired.
knew that he had made these statements, would you have brought him on in the capacity that he had at the Department of Treasury?
I think the Office of Personnel Management would have flagged that.
Would you have brought him on?
Sir,
I don't make those decisions.
I'm not going to speculate.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Lilloda.
Well, I'm glad I knew the drama was coming. That's what's terrible about these
Thank you,
hearings.
Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Secretary.
This
Good
is
to
why
see you this
people
morning, sir.
believe
I'd
shit's
like
so
to use my time to
disingenuous.
talk
I see a
about
bitch
taxes
laughing
and
in the
trade.
background, and we
As
know
head of
this isn't
Treasury,
even going to be
you
a
advise
question
the
about
President on
money,
taxes and trade,
policy.
sir?
It's about a guy tweeting racist
on both,
comments,
sir.
Among many others.
and he
Yes.
got a job. Which again, I'm
And Mr.
sure some
Secretary,
people
in your
have an issue
estimation,
with
how did
that,
President
but
Trump's 2017
I think we
signature
need to
tax
figure
bill
out if we have
affect
money or
American
not.
job
No? Okay.
creation, employment, and wage growth.
Mr. Vice Chair, it provided a substantial non-inflationary impetus to the economy, which resulted in real wage gains on a non-inflationary basis for the American people and a robust economy.
I would add, I'm with you 100%. I'd add some data into there. 4.9 million jobs between the passage of the tax bill and the COVID pandemic. Employment rates dropped from the 4s to the 3s, and we had a lot of wage growth, especially within the middle class. And that sets me up for my next question. Congress now
No,
is
I
considering
think the
extending,
glaring
those tax
problem
cuts, which
with
expire
the
at end
House
of this
Financial
calendar year.
Committee is that you
Would be a good
realize
idea, Mr. Secretary?
I don't think any of these
Congressman,
people have
what
financial
Congress is
backgrounds,
considering is making
or
them
they're not even
permanent, which is
asking
a priority.
financial questions.
We're considering a lot on the
This is
tax
a
bill. We're
financial
also considering
committee.
SALT, which I think is an awesome idea as well.
Yeah,
But nevertheless, on the
MO,
greater bill,
52-week high.
public polling
Wow.
suggests that you're right, and that 8 of
Wow.
10 Americans agree
And
that
18 all
extending,
dividend plays are running
those
right now.
tax cuts are a good
Verizon
idea,
as well, and AT&T.
recognizing that they help grow wages, they help lower employment, and help personal wealth. But I want to use the remainder of my time to talk about trade policy, Mr. Secretary.
Hey, bro,
Is
if
it
MO
true
could
that
get above
America's trade
61,
deficit is about
62, we could be
$1.2
looking at
trillion?
65 to 70, bro.
Approximately, yes,
Crazy.
sir.
And with China,
But yeah,
Mr.
big
Secretary,
volume, new
about
52-week high, MO.
$300 billion?
Yes, and I believe it may have increased slightly.
Yeah. And Mr. Secretary, what
Why are
impact
we
is
watching
China's
this?
exploitation
Because
of
the
child
man
labor
who's
and
talking
near
is
slave-like
important.
labor? What impact does that have
Ironically,
on
the
the
people
trade
asking him the questions are shit,
Well,
but
sir,
we're here for
It-
this man
it
right here.
creates an unlevel, aside
So,
from the values
That
problem
doesn't.
that Americans
you
do
cannot justify
not
their
believe in
lack
this
of
behavior,
experience with that question,
it
brother.
creates the an unfair trading advantage, and we can see that from the size of the deficit, but more importantly, from the size of the large surplus.
Oil's just up today. I don't know if it's
They're
off of
accumulating.
And
the
Mr. Secretary, what
Russia-Ukraine
impact
attacks,
does
but
China's
yeah.
notorious theft of America's intellectual property have on our $300 billion trade deficit?
Well, I think that is a problem for not just the U.S., but for every other country. And to the extent that they are able to leapfrog, whether it's with technology, whether it's with products, then that creates a huge advantage that has given them, it's back to one of the cornerstones of the problem of trade, that if you don't have to spend money on R&D, then you can spend it on manufacturing, cheap manufacturing.
And Mr. Secretary, are tariffs a tool to reduce America's trade deficit, specifically with China?
Yes, sir,
And are they also a tool to protect American jobs, Mr. Secretary?
100%.
And Mr. Secretary, you could probably tell by how far I sit in the dais, I'm somewhat new to Congress, but yet hypocrisy still offends me. And there's a lot of double talk and hypocrisy in this town. And I'm going to read you a couple of quotes, Mr. Secretary. I'd
11
like you to
hour,
tell me if
yeah,
you think
I'm not
President
surprised.
Trump or
Pony
somebody from the
AI.
administration said it,
That's
or
the
if
one
you
that
think
had the
Senator
Uber
Schumer
partnership.
has said it on tariffs.
They're going again.
Quote,
Pony.
Tariffs are a necessary step towards addressing the unfair imbalance of China's trade relationship with the United States. Did Schumer say it or did Trump say it?
I would imagine the president.
Schumer said it, sir. Schumer was just a year ago, in February 2024, talking about tariffs being the answer to combat some
Really?
of those issues in China, specifically ripping
That's
off our
funny.
intellectual property and exploiting slave labor and child labor.
Well, Congressman, I would also note that the many government officials, including presidents, were also in favor of a border wall until President Trump was.
Good point. That leads me to my second question. Who said it, Schumer or Trump, that tariffs are vital to protect American workers, American manufacturers, American innovation?
I didn't
and our
even know
national
Schumer
security?
said
Who
that.
it,
This is a
Trump
good
or Schumer?
segment.
I would imagine.
And then
it
Pony
was
again,
the ranking
Uber
member.
partnership.
It was the.
That was
Senate
earlier in the
minority,
morning. They're
Chuck
just running
Schumer
now.
said it. And like what you said, it was cool until Trump got in office, and now he's opposed to it. My time is about to expire, Mr. Secretary, but I want to commend you for fighting for American middle-class workers. I do think that extending the tax bill with a couple of tweaks like SALT is important. I do think that fighting for our middle-class workers are important, and I implore you to stay on the right path, sir.
Good. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you,
Thank you
Congressman.
for getting that salt plug in, Mr. Lalota, twice. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Bishop.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here, Secretary Bessent.
Yeah, TMC was going up earlier.
Ask you
Then
some
SPY near the high
questions
again ever
about
since Homeboy started
the
talking.
reports
But
that
then
the
again, just like
administration
yesterday, we're
is
like on the cusp
cutting,
of going green. So
IRS workforce
I mean, it's still a
roughly
red
in
day.
half, with a goal of 50,000, including many of the frontline enforcement positions. A recent study concluded that this would result in a loss of $19 billion in foregone revenue.
And then
just in
notice bonds, right when the
2026, and up
bonds
to
were leading
$250
here,
billion
and they matched up
over
the
next
bonds.
decade. Such substantial cuts in staffing could
This will
cause
probably
reductions
end in like another
voluntary
an hour and a half.
compliance, as taxpayers will feel emboldened to cheat on their taxes. And an IRS official previously testified that a simple 1% decline in the compliance rate translates into $30 billion in lost revenue for the government. If the administration is truly concerned about reducing the federal deficit, as you indicate, why would it consider staffing reductions that reduce the IRS's capacity to collect much-needed revenue that could be used to reduce the deficit or pay for critical services? A recent
Maybe worth it. Well, if you do it, don't tell us. Don't. That's the new rule. But we already have a TMC play. It's already up a couple 100%. We ghetto spreaded it.
The IRS compliance workforce would be drastically
No, you're good. You're
hit,
good. I would say if you
31%,
act on info,
with
post the
revenue
info. But we don't want to know the play.
18%.
But yeah, just be careful though. I'm saying the plays are up a
They
lot.
are
We
paying
already
the
have one.
maximum taxpayer compliance responsibilities that are needed for revenue for the government. It appears that 31% of the reduction in force, and I think
His outrage
since,
notes.
January, the federal workforce has been reduced, and IRS.
My favorite was the guy fighting about reclaiming his time. 1,000. I've reclaimed it.
An 11% reduction in the
Okay,
workforce.
okay.
That's 31% loss in revenue.
How does one
agents,
follow the trades made?
18%
You
loss
don't.
in
You get a
revenue
long term
officers,
and you handle your
10%
trading on
loss
your
in
own,
contact
and you
representatives,
assume everybody
and
in here is
10%
pumping.
loss in tax
That's how you do it.
examiners.
But get a long
It
term. Those
seems
are the
to
only
be,
trades that matter.
Really, really foolish to pursue that. Can you tell me why that makes sense? Briefly.
Sir, so I think there are two things here. There's the actual decrease that you just cited, which is
You're
about
pumping.
11,
So remember, if I say something
11%.
serious,
And
I don't
then
like the jokes afterwards.
If you could
so
tell
you're
me
gone.
where you're getting this number there's going to be a 40
Thank
or
you.
The IG's report.
End of June, everyone gets
The
unbanned.
IG's
that there's
report.
going
So
to be
no
a
need to
40 or
cry or
50%
email me, please.
decrease
Thank you.
Because, sir,
I don't even
will
check the
tell you,
emails
That
till
was the
after the bell.
goal.
Before I took this job, I didn't particularly like the term fake news. Now that I have it, I think it's probably not strong enough. Because on
Wow.
March 22nd, the
Let me
Washington
change
Post-
this. Let
He
me
said
change
fake
the
news is
subject.
not
Let me-
strong
let
enough.
me move to another subject, Mr. Secretary. Thank you. If you want to elaborate, you can. You can send us.
I'll be
a
happy
letter.
to have my office.
Let me say that since this administration
They get
has
mad when
come
he
to the
tries
White
to
House,
respond.
The price of groceries has increased.
He's like,
by
I'll send you a
5-6%
letter. He's
in
like,
only
next
2 months.
question.
According to a recent report by the Groundwork Collective, the price of meat, poultry, fish, and eggs has grown the fastest, up 2.9% since January of 2025. Eggs at a record high of $6.23 a dozen, up from 26% in January 25 alone. What is the administration doing to bring down the cost of food? What is the administration doing to ensure that the impact of the tariffs don't disproportionately fall on our nation's farmers? I've got a list of headlines from farmers all across the country that are complaining about the impact of the tariffs on their capacity to sell their products. Can you tell me what the administration is doing to bring down the cost of food?
Well, a
Don't
couple
bring
things,
eggs up,
Congressman.
man. I don't
First of
wanna
all,
hear
you may
Trump
or may
say
not
this shit
know
again.
I am a farmer. Secondly, that we inherited the.
I brought him down. They don't talk about eggs
food
anymore.
prices, like monetary policy.
It's exactly what I
long
did.
and variable lead
Eggs
times.
everywhere. They're low.
The price of
Low eggs.
was up
They don't talk
substantially
anymore.
during
I
the
fixed
Biden
the
administration.
problem.
It has been brought down 52% in the past.
Low ticker kind of moving, but SPY just
And
dancing
Just
right
went
at the
up,
high. Bonds with
the
a
last
bid.
2 months. I just
Again,
told
Euro
you.
close in 25 minutes.
No, sir, I think that's not 100%
Since
accurate.
January,
And finally, we are
26%.
we are bringing down energy cost, and energy cost, transportation is one of the single biggest factors in food pricing. So diesel prices across the country have come down, and that will result in lower food prices.
Chair now recognizes the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Edwards, for any questions he may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being with us this afternoon. Earlier this year, I co-sponsored a bill, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, that would prevent the Federal Reserve from issuing central bank digital currency. Many of the folks that I represent are concerned about the security of such a currency and the privacy of their information were such a currency to be used. Can you give me your perspective and maybe the administration's perspective on the place for digital currency?
Sir, we believe that digital assets belong in the private sector.
Insurance
And my
plays are
personal
moving
view
again. Remember
is that
Allstate and all
having
that,
a
and then
central
Boeing
bank
at the
digital
high.
currency is a sign
Shout
of
out Bradley
weakness,
Frizzle.
not strength, because really the reason, if there is a reserve, say a reserve manager or a foreign central bank holds U.S. dollars, then there is a wide variety of U.S. assets they can invest in. You would create a central bank digital currency just for ease of use because there are no good choices for underlying
Twilio, a couple of the other post-earnings
So
runners.
you're saying you would not be in favor.
But again, you still got the low ticker velocity is still kind of matched up,
No,
but you
sir.
still have names moving.
Thank you.
Again,
Can,
20-something minutes till
can
Euro
you
close.
tell us real quick, at what point do you believe that our debt levels would no longer be sustainable? And then as the second part
already
of
not
that is,
sustainable.
what would that look like if our debt were no longer sustainable?
You just said a
what would that
CBDC
look
is a
like
sign of
to
weakness.
the American family? We talk a lot about debt up here. We put forth some elaborate graphs and charts, and we hear all kind of economists using big, long words. I need to be able to describe to the people back at home what that might look like in their lives were we no longer sustainable.
Well, it would look like a sudden stop in the economy as the credit would disappear, as markets would lose confidence. And I am committed to that not happening. And again,
That's another
the
reason
tipping
why people
point
like it.
in
And again,
debt
think about this
sustainability is
messaging from
very
the Treasury
difficult
about the debt
to pinpoint,
ceiling,
but
market
what is not
confidence.
difficult to pinpoint is a
Dude,
trajectory.
Bessent is
And the
converting everybody.
trajectory is unsustainable. When the,
But SPY
when
is going
and
down.
if
I don't
the
think this is off
markets
any
were
comments.
to,
Remember, we just ran up about 0.5% on nothing.
rebel against.
But yeah, you are
is
starting to go
very
down 20 minutes
difficult
till
to
Euro.
know. I think, just as I talked about the warning track for the X date, I think it's very important not to go on the warning track.
Yeah, see?
And we've got to get to the other side of
He
this
knows
and
what's
start
important. I mean, I'll put it that
reducing the
way.
debt.
That's why. And he brings
And the debt numbers are
he's
indeed
telling you
scary.
sweet words at the right topics.
The
And we're not going to default, and we're not
Secretary
going to
Yellen
do
and I
this,
both agree
and
that it
we're
is
going to
the
make
debt
sure we
to
don't lose
GDP.
confidence. Like
That is the important number.
that's
So
all.
we are
That's all what
trying
you
to
want.
both
And I do
control
think people in a time
the
of worry
absolute
love
level of
hearing
debt,
it.
pay it down.
He's
but
doing a good
also
job.
grow the
Everybody, I mean,
GDP.
Republican and Democrat are acknowledging this now.
And so
You know, we
I
were excited about Bessent from the
appreciate-
beginning,
I applaud
but I
your
think a lot of
approach
people are.
towards
I think his
that.
true
We-
colors are
give us
shining
an
through
idea of
very positively.
Where is that tipping point? How close do you think that we might be to that?
Again, sir, I think what the market, having been in markets for 35 or 40 years, what the market is more concerned about is a trajectory. Are you on a trajectory that is unsustainable, or are you, as we said during COVID, bending
He
the curve?
answered the deficit
So,
thing.
the goal
So my
here
problem, I don't
is to
like
both
the high
bend the curve,
deficits,
to
but
grow the
Bessent, he
denominator,
pretty much explained it that
and,
you're running up
use
3%. You're
growth
doing a percentage
and
of your
spending
growth.
constraints
So they're
to solve
assuming
this
they could
problem.
run that deficit because they're
thank you for that.
assuming
And, as
that
part
growth
of
is going to
the
be
president's
increasing.
Cabinet and seeing
So that's
more inside
that's the
what's
counter
taking
to
place
my
than any of the
to
rest
my
of us.
my
What
opposition.
role would you say that Doge is playing right now in prolonging that tipping point and reversing our fiscal trend?
Well, I think DOGE or any other measure to constrain the spending.
Hard to know
is
when market would
admirable,
rebel
important,
against
and
U.S. debt.
necessary. And if we don't do that, as I've said.
Data Dog, Data Kelb, they've been up already. They were
and,
down earlier, now they went
Ranking
green.
member,
Estee Lauder too, see if any retail.
we do not have.
Because again, China
a
plays are all
revenue
still
problem.
moving
We
up,
have a
and Boeing
spending
at the high.
problem, and we have to bring this spending under control.
Thank you. I've got just a few seconds. Can you tell us what keeps you up at night regarding cyber threats to our Treasury system?
Well, it's cyber threats across the entire financial system, sir. And that's why at Treasury, we are leading the effort for more resilience within the entire financial system, whether
All right,
it's
I'm gonna go
across
to
the
the bathroom.
banking
I'll be right
system,
back.
the
You
payment
guys
system,
are blind.
and
Good luck.
the Treasury system. As you would have seen,
I think it should hold up, though, maybe until
Treasury
you're up.
was hacked
BRB.
last year. We've just discovered an OCC hack that discovered last year. So these hacks are real and dangerous.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll yield.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes the ranking member of the full committee, Mrs. DeLauro, for any questions that she may have for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My apologies for being late, and apologies to you, Mr. Secretary, but lots of hearings happening here. So just a couple of points, and I want to ask my question. It's just a follow-up on this IRS piece. I think it's very interesting that, well, first of all, I totally disagree with you, Mr. Secretary. We have a revenue problem, and that's where the IRS comes in. And we think about the debt. We think about the $2.3 trillion that was the debt really built up with the tax cuts to the wealthiest and the biggest corporations in 2017. We're now looking at an additional $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, which are making their way to, again, the richest and to the biggest corporations. That is debt, and that is something that I don't know about yourself and others in the administration who refuse to see that kind of debt. And the almost unbelievable piece of this is the IRS 2024. We invested in it, able to recover more than $1.1 billion from roughly 1,600 millionaires. Projected at the time that investments in high-end enforcement data and analytics that an additional $851 billion would result in revenue over the next 10 years. The Inspector General has said IRS lost 30% of auditors under Elon Musk's illegal purge. People who are wanting to ensure that millionaires and billionaires are paying their taxes. And the issue is that we're going to pay for those taxes by taking it out of the hide of Medicaid and of children, of low-wage workers, and of seniors. The issue that I want to try to get to, well, I'm going to make another point, is your comments on your recent comments that seem to call into question the vitality of the textile industry in the United States and national security. I applaud the administration for the steps they've taken on de minimis and closing down that loophole. I think it was very, very important to do this. We need to go further. It needs to be applied to all countries, not just to China. But unbelievable commentary on the U.S. textile industry provides good jobs across this country, particularly in rural areas. The supply chain directly employed 471,000 workers, produced roughly $64 billion in product in 2024. Let me get to my question with only 2 minutes to go here. This is the dealing with standing up for a mechanism in the U.S. to screen our investments in China, to ensure capital, technology, and know-how are not fueling the capabilities of the Chinese Communist Party. I've had a bipartisan bill to do that for years, helped negotiate the bipartisan bill that nearly passed last year, and I strongly support executive action to address the issue. In
You
fact,
made the
we
NVO
got
free. That's
appropriated
awesome.
funding for Treasury
They were good
to
because they were up
implement
like
the executive
500%
order
yesterday,
on,
but don't post any place
outbound
still.
investment.
I don't care.
Mr. Secretary,
So
I
remember,
understand
do what
that
you
the
guys need to
administration
do.
is currently
I'm already
reviewing
assuming
the
everybody's
executive order.
pumping, but
There's
no
a
more
clear
plays.
bipartisan consensus
Just
on the
post the
need for an
info.
outbound
Post why
mechanism
you did it, but I
of
don't
that
care about the
screening
play.
regime.
No
Let
more
me
plays.
ask you,
Thank
do
you.
you support the implementation of such a
Long
regime?
term.
Thank you, Congressman. This is a very, very important issue. The outbound security program is an important new tool in our effort to restrict the PRC from exploiting U.S. investment. The program just began a few months ago, and we are learning and we anticipate gaining important visibility into U.S. persons' investments.
Why you think,
involving
man, she got
GRC
Bessent reading a
entities.
statement.
We appreciate the interest from Congress, and while legislation is important and helpful, I would like some time for our process to inform any legislation. We would like any legislation to be both flexible and durable.
Well, in your confirmation hearing in January, you noted, and this is a quote, "We should have a very rigorous screening process for U.S. investments in key sectors
no more
that
plays,
could go
baby.
to
No more
China."
plays.
And in March, you said, "We will make sure that our outbound
So read the rules. Rule
investment
number 4.
doesn't get used against us. We are going to continue investigating this, and where necessary, to block it." I heard your answer, and quite frankly,
flex
it sounds
his
a little
love,
bit
baby. Hey, man,
wishy-washy.
get that
I
law.
wanna
Watch
be
those
clear
law
about
terms.
this.
And
You
let's
have
get some
expressed
cribs.
support for outbound investment for months now. Has that changed in any way?
Yes, she
What's
has
the
purple hair.
status
This is
of the
legit purple
administration's
hair.
Review of that
Yes,
order.
you are
What
seeing
about
that correctly.
the timeline on this, because it's an important issue? And can you commit that your department will enforce this executive order to its fullest extent?
China outbound investment scrutiny important new tool.
I have not changed my position. As I said, we are looking at what is working, what isn't, and
new job
how
offer. Good work.
the best enforcement mechanisms.
Cow,
And
man. I
when
like
a
that
bill
industry.
comes
Not bad.
Forward, again, we want it to be fulsome and durable. And
Keep
a
pizza the good.
2025
You
bill
made your wife listen.
for
That's good,
all the
bro. I love
nuance
it.
that goes
And
with
are you
this.
ready? Let's go, man. That long term is going to turn into a crib, baby.
I'm out of
So I
time,
hope
but,
you're ready, and I
please
hope you're hunting
understand,
and
we have
keep
bipartisan
working. And by
support.
this, we
It
got some
almost
opportunity,
made it
man.
into the
use
continuing
it.
resolution.
U.S.
but for the
House will
influence
likely kill
of
EV
Mr.
tax
Musk,
credit,
and
Speaker
it is
Johnson
critically
says.
important for our competitive
Check
edge,
Tesla.
And I don't believe there's any reason for the
Tesla's not
administration to
reacting. I
roll
don't
back.
know if they're
My
already
hope is
ready
that we
for it.
will
Check
move
forward and
forward
everything,
and
too.
keep the pressure on in order to be able
You get
to
no. I'm
preserve our
banned from
competitive
Bloomberg.
advantage and
I
not
can't even
cede to
sign up for
Chinese
another
companies.
terminal
We're in
under my
complete agreement.
company if I wanted to.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
They
I would
won't
not
allow
wanna
me
interfere
to.
with that bipartisan moment.
They have rejected
Okay.
me from
And
their
it-
terms of service.
It's bipartisan legislation, as you
So
know.
no, I don't. I have my
appreciate
own.
that.
I created my own.
And the chair will
Rivian's
now
reacting.
recognize the
There you go.
gentleman
Good call
from
out on that.
Nevada.
So Rivian's the one reacting to the EV tax credit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Mr. Secretary. First of all, I want to thank you for your availability.
I'm surprised Ford and GM didn't really
during
move on
this,
that. Yeah, that's coming out now.
time since you've been
Check
confirmed and
Lucid as
stuff
well,
like that.
too.
I know
Yep.
nothing's been
Good
going
call.
on that affects the
See,
Treasury
that's what I'm saying.
Department
You don't
in
need a
any
post
way,
to
and
play. That's all great
I
info, you guys.
appreciate having
So thank
access
you.
to you via phone over an issue that wasn't important. So, thank you very much. I want to just ask you a couple of questions, kind of relative to our conversation.
Is it not smart
And
to
that
loan
is, I
yourself
know that
to
the
buy a
president
crib?
said quit
Well, you just bought a
producing
house,
the penny.
which is good, but
lot of reasons,
if you
you know,
come across a
arguably
good
you
deal
lose
and then you find
2.5
another
plus cents
instant
for every
equity
penny you
deal, I would
produce,
find a
and
better deal than the one you just got.
you don't have to get up
Like
too
I'm
early to
talking
do
like
the math on that
30%
sort
off,
of
you know, then I would leverage your 401k
but I
because you
think
already have a
in the-
property. So
in
don't
the
risk what
timing
you have for
of doing
something that
if
you
we're gonna
want, if
eliminate
that
the
makes any
penny,
sense.
Which has to happen here. I would like to know who it is, who's kind of the point, the tip of the spear.
Oh, Rivian and Lucid
on your
earnings after the
staff,
bell? I didn't know that.
At Treasury, I already have the Mint information, but at Treasury, as far as those issues go,
Program,
and-
I
and I'll tell
replaced
you
it
why I
with
wanna know is,
HTML
I
and
think there are
Python.
some issues.
I just got my own news
regarding
licenses.
what it costs to produce a penny.
Created
I don't
my
know if
own.
it's going to get you. I don't think it'll get you down to a cent, so it won't be that argument. But quite frankly, stacked up behind it.
Imagine
is
if
what
we
it
only
costs to
post
produce a
info and
nickel,
news and
and
not
what it
plays.
costs
That
to
would be
produce a
bliss.
dime. I
Well,
don't know
yeah,
about
that's what's going to
quarter, but
happen.
Anyhow,
Today's just the
to make
warnings,
sure
but
that
after
we
that,
are
we'll
at
just start
least
banning anybody who
giving
can't follow
your
it.
department and the Bureau
So
of
yeah,
the
that's
Mint
the goal.
the most tools
Amen.
necessary to, if you will, untie their hands when they're looking for who they buy their blanks from and stuff like that, that goes directly into what it costs to produce one.
Okay,
So
spies go
my
in,
first
high
question
ticker,
is,
almost fully gassed out in the short
who's kinda
term.
in charge of
Euro
that, since I
close
know
in
you've
9
got
minutes.
Other things to do, but ultimately, so that we can start that dialogue with where do we go from here, and if we're going to get rid of, and I know there's been legislation introduced in the Senate to get rid of the penny altogether, except for collectors. So, who's the point man or woman on your staff?
Congressman, it would be my recently confirmed deputy, Mike Faulkner.
Okay.
And yeah, I would also say, with the nickel and the dime, the nickel costs more than a nickel to produce, but we are looking at material change. material changes in the materials that would reduce the cost to or below a nickel, and then I believe the dime is profitable.
And I guess that brings me to there is legislation you might want to warn your recently confirmed deputy. HR 1278, bipartisan, gives you guys the chance, without coming to us every time, to basically make changes in the metal of that
you guys
sort of
had the
stuff so
wire
that
the
you
whole day.
can keep ahead of
scammers.
those sorts of things. So
forgot.
if you would, unless it's sitting here, whatever, it's like, hey, we're going to be calling you up.
Yeah, that's old.
the idea
That
is
one that
to-
just came across.
To solve the problem, if it's solvable, and move on from there so you guys can do other things with your time.
Yes, sir. We've been reviewing that.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Coolio on the high. Getting high takers going.
So have you taken a look at the Senate bill that says no more pennies? And I guess other countries have rounded up to the nearest 5 cents. And my research says, well, it wasn't the end of the world. So
Well,
I
sir,
don't know
we-
how to
we were
write in
also
Python, no, but I
encouraging
know how to
rounding
tell
down.
AI how to do it.
it's a great answer. You know what? I'm
It's
gonna
called
reward your
vibe
performance.
coding,
Yield back,
apparently.
Mr.
I'm a
Chairman.
vibe coder.
Sir,
But I know how to
appreciate that,
tell
Mr.
the
Chairman.
AI to do it, but I don't know how to do it
We were-
myself.
I understand you have the
It's
hard
really
stop
weird,
at
but
11:30.
it works.
And
It works.
I'd like to
It's
honor
been
that.
working. I
wanna
can't
be
explain
fair
it.
To my fellow committee members,
Like, I know
though, and
nothing
doing
about
so,
coding, but I could code. I know a little bit, but
not all of us will be
yeah, it's
eligible
just a
for
trip.
second round, but it's certainly
You can post long-term plays. We could even
my
talk
ranking
about
member,
trade
Mr.
ideas.
Hoyer,
I have no
request
problem with
he have
that.
a chance
But
to
don't
ask you,
post your play,
another question before
and that's it. Don't post a gain. Don't post a flex.
Secretary,
Don't post
first-
a loss. No one cares.
First of all, let me say
It's over
that,
now. That's it. You take the info. Tell us why. I don't care what you end
believe
up
the,
doing. I just want
Congress
info.
is being taken for granted in the policy.
It's not a
being
crawler. No, I
pursued.
have news wires. It
think,
costs money.
frankly,
It costs a
some
lot of
legal
money.
things are being
So
done,
I spend
not by you. I'm just
a
talking
couple
about the
grand a
administration.
month just for
In terms of
access
federal
to
employees.
these
I
to
represent
this news to
77,000
get it real
federal
time before
employees.
everybody. That's how I
Came
do
here
it.
to work for the
So it
government,
does
and
cost
that's why
money. But yeah, you could build it yourself. It just takes some work.
I've worked very well with Republicans throughout my career, which is now in its 45th year. I want to do that some more because I think that's the best sense of the country. I believe you're one of those who has a shot
A different
at
guy.
keeping us
This is going to end in like an hour.
on a somewhat even keel. I mean that as a compliment, but obviously it's also a concern.
Yeah, that was a big candle at the high. And I mean, you're getting close, but I don't like how it's like yesterday though.
When
We
you
spent
say,
all day
and I want to reiterate
climbing, but then like
that
you're
we
still
have
red.
a
So
spending problem. And I retort to you, no, what we have is a paying for problem. If I make $1 million,
I have old
I can
videos on
spend
building new stuff. So,
99,000 less
you know,
taxes.
these conversations,
If I
this
make
has kind of been the vibe
$500,000,
with
I
a lot
spend
of
$1 million.
things. I don't really bring up anything new.
That is
Most
a
of the
paying
stuff I've
problem
already
because
made a
I don't
video
pay
about.
for it, and I
Just YouTube
accumulate
either
that
hides
by
it
time.
or most people don't look.
Now, I was here in the
So,
Reagan administration.
it's there. I have
Some
shit
period of
on how
time
to do
ago.
all of it. It's on the trading fraternity.
We were told that the tax cuts that were
You guys are
passed
asking me about it, but
in
yeah, this is none of
1981
this.
were gonna pay for
You just got to watch the old videos, man.
They did not. It perhaps will surprise you, maybe you know this figure. The largest increase in the national debt was under Ronald Reagan.
It is. The
Only
last news
president
video is
who
like
had a
4 years old, though,
triple-digit,
but that'll help you out a decent
189%
amount.
Increase in the national
It
debt
doesn't
during the
explain
course
like
of his term.
APIs and shit like that, but
Might
it's
also
a good
surprise
start.
you that
Trump comments, I look forward to meeting Prime
Clinton,
Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
is the only one who was 30% or lower since Ronald Reagan. Clinton is the only one who balanced.
Would I be?
the
No,
budget.
I don't want to check it out, unfortunately.
Now, one of the reasons
Because
we did
usually
so is
I
because
have
we had
like these
bipartisan
relationships online, and then
objectives.
people want me to look at their product, and then I don't give them the reaction they want, and then they
Republicans wanted to
start
cut
posting
taxes,
negative things about
which
me.
is their mantra.
So I wish you
We wanted
success.
to
I don't want
invest,
any part of it.
as we call it, as
But,
opposed
you
to
know,
spending
and I hope
in
we could
children's
keep it that way
education
and
people's
cordial.
health care, in safety.
I'm gonna hit a
et cetera, et
52-week high.
If we continue this logic that we have a spending problem and discount taxes as spending, when we did the tax increase under in 2017, you may recall,
You almost call him George
the
Bush.
Republicans gave themselves a $1.5 $1.5
Equal weight's
trillion
close to going
headroom.
green. That's
The
it.
reason it was limited to that is because the senator from
Lucy, just be
Tennessee
careful because it's already low.
wouldn't go higher
So
than
your
that.
your downside is
So
limited.
in other words, a $1.5 trillion unpaid for headroom to give a tax cut.
Yeah, Trump said we don't need anything other than
That
their
is spending.
friendship.
Because
We don't need their cars, energy,
you're
or
cutting
lumber.
prices while
So
increasing
again,
costs.
Trump's commenting ahead of the Canada meeting.
That's what costs you deficits. Some of my Republican friends, I'm a strong supporter of
Pony
national
again
defense,
and hymns.
but
And
I do
again,
not
SPY's
delude
doing great.
myself that raising $150 billion
Everything but the bonds.
in
If the
national
bonds
defense
rip, I'm sure you'll hit a new
expenses
high.
don't
But for
cost
now,
taxes.
even then, SPY's doing it
We
without
don't
it.
have $150 billion to either cut taxes with or to spend money with. So we borrow.
NVO on the low.
And
The plays have a
when my
wide
friend
spread, so
talks
you
about
could still get out of them if you wanted.
hypocrisy. We all know if you spend more than you get, you go into debt. And that's what we do as a country on both sides of the aisle. And we need people like yourself
I like
be
it.
honest with those with whom you work and honest with the Congress of the United States in terms of the ramifications of the actions. I know you are a strong supporter of permanent increase. You're not a strong supporter of paying for it.
This guy. I mean, I don't think I agree
you
with
can
this
cut
guy on
all
everything, but I like what he's saying.
Non-defense discretionary spending.
I'm
and you
glad
won't
that
get there.
I appreciate a fair
And
outlook.
this game, that,
And to be able to say
Mr.
both,
Musk has
for a
played,
Democrat
he
to
had
say
no
both
sense
sides,
of the
and this is why
ramifications
people
of
like
the actions
Bessent. You
he's
see what I'm
taken.
saying?
He knew how to do it.
Because, yeah, if
He
you
was
do want to
prepared.
lower
There's
things
one
and
article in the
calm it
Atlantic Journal
down
said,
and,
the Blitzkrieg,
be fair about it, I mean, this might
which
be our guy.
Speaker calls flooding the zone, been pretty effective at that, just trying to watch where the ball is and see if you can respond. But, Mr. Secretary, I have a lot of questions. I'm going to send them to you, ask them to you, and would like to take some time with you on that. I have great respect for your background and your abilities.
He was
And I am
Pelosi's
really
whip,
praying
yeah.
that you
Like I
will
said,
bring
I
a
probably don't
voice
agree with
of
him on
reason
everything, but
and
I like hearing that.
rationality
And I
to
hope,
our deliberation.
whether it's disingenuous or
My
not,
time
I
is
hope
over, and I
the
appreciate
real
the
Americans
chairman's,
hearing,
forbearance.
the
But this is
normal
serious
people like
business.
you and I can act like that's what we need, bro.
Very serious
It's just
business.
like, it
And I
is a
agree with you.
spending thing. I don't know if it's just because I'm
$37
losing my
trillion
hairline that I care about it
debt
now, but
is not
yeah.
sustainable. And we all have to do it, but we have to do it together. That's the only way it will get done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Do you have a response, Mr. Secretary?
Congressman,
Yeah,
thank
5.3,
you
it's a
for
weird
that.
level. We got to get to
And
like
I would
36
note
is like the low of
that-
yesterday, and
that
then the
while
50s the
President
gap
Reagan
fill.
substantially increased the defense budget, the Clinton administration was able to capitalize on the peace dividend. But as you said, the defense budget dropped dramatically post the fall of the Iron Curtain, which contributed to the fiscal soundness. And through, as you said, through bipartisanship, working with Speaker Gingrich, they worked together. So I would hope that we could do that again.
Which, by the way, cost Gingrich's job. The right wing of his party was
Pony, bro,
incensed
that
that
shit
he
went
did
crazy.
that.
All of them hit.
And what it
Oh,
did was
I wanted those in the
irrational
morning.
policy, because both sides
But yeah, that one's going. They had to deal with Uber. But that was in the AM, and then it just started running right
Senator
now.
from Tennessee is actually my neighbor.
Like right around like an hour ago.
So I see him quite often. And look, there are ramifications here. And
You're not talking about any current senators from Tennessee. He's left.
No, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Senator
I want to make
Corker.
sure we had the right Tennesseans.
Senator Corker.
Yes.
Yes. Is my neighbor.
Uh-huh.
So, and I look forward to inviting a bipartisan solution.
Thank you, sir. And with that, our time is concluded. I'd like to thank you, Secretary Bessent, for being
that
here
it?
today. There may be some members, as the Ranking Member Hoyer has
Yeah, that's
indicated,
it.
who have questions.
Oh,
We
that
will
was
submit
quick.
those questions for the record.
Bro, you're all
I would ask
close.
any of the-
And this
to
is
submit
wrapping
those
up.
questions to the subcommittee staff within the next 7 days. I would ask that you try to respond to them within the next 15 business days after receipt. Thank you. With that, the subcommittee stands adjourned.
Thank you. All right, not bad, bro. But I think day number 2, bro, you're going to hear Bessent again, but that's it. Republican or Democrat, bro. They like homeboy. I think dude, we were just joking around, and you see how the market reacted right when it started. But even after listening, you had the same political, ideological questions. Some of them were financially related, but you could even see both sides of the aisle. There's people who like Bessent. There's people who are on the different political party, but they kind of recognize his impact in his role. I mean, again, they call him the adult in the room. I think he's a very great pick. We were hyped on him in the beginning. I mean, do you guys remember before the election, I was telling you that the one person that really matters is that Treasury pick? Well, there you go. That is your man right there. So, not bad. We were up here a little. Like I said, it's kind of like a weird mix of yesterday. Yesterday, you had a lot of headlines and very little move. Today, you have a lot of movement, it seems like. You were down another 1.5%. Now you're back up, still red, but there wasn't any headlines. What he said wasn't anything new. We did just hear about Trump in Canada, so that's going to be the next thing we're waiting for. You got a bond auction in about an hour and a half, and then we got Euro close, and not too bad, but the range is wide, and now I don't even know where this factors in for speed. But I hope you guys are having a good day, and good to see you here. And so, and you guys are good, too. If you did get timed out, we did make a new change to the plays. So please read the rules in the description for the chat room. I like it, though, and I think some of you, it's for the community, man. I think, like I said, I don't want to influence people. I don't want people to get influenced. The real value here is long-term and information, and I don't want that to get clouded, and I want people to have clarity, and I don't have the time and effort to be monitoring everybody. People get mad about the plays. People get mad at me for this, that. I think we could wrap it up and call it a day. And quite frankly, I'm going to just tell you this. Gambling culture is terrible. Do you know that, right? Have you ever been around gamblers? They're angry, prone to mood swings. The culture, the jokes they make are usually crude. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be around that. It's very simple. That's why. So, I'm going to gamble. I'll do my own thing, but I'm not like a gambler. I have not identified with that. I have it long-term. And most of the people here who have really gotten good things out of it, it's been long-term, bro. But the gambling stuff and all of that, I think it's time we're done with it. I have a lot of option videos if you want to learn, and I hope it helps. And, I'm going to do my plays, and you should all do your plays too, but I think it's time that you keep that private or take that to where, go to your gambling group. But here we're going to be long-term. The information is going to help you, but I want information, and now we don't need to add the extra step, and then that helps you guys make it easier on you too, and everybody else. So I hope you understand, but I think it's a good thing. So it'll be a little bit of an adjustment, but I think it already looks cleaner. So I'm down, bro. I'm down. Zion, Vol, even the market, bro, that Pony AI one, but there's a lot of movers right now. Actually, let me get you guys a checkup because he was talking, and then now is Euro close. So, Homeland Security says travelers without real ID face extra security, but will be allowed to fly. So Dow Jones, 14 green, 16 in the red. NASDAQ, 41 green, 60 in the red. And then SPY, 226 green, 274. So SPY's 50-50 pretty much. But then everything else kind of leaning negative, believe it or not. I don't know. This 401k question came up a lot. But yeah, your 401k is a long-term. It has different liquidity. So you can't use it without penalty. You can't use it for a house the same way. You can, but it has more steps. So I would say a 401k is a long-term at minimum, but make no mistake, all of you should be saving 10% of your money and putting it into a separate account and then investing that money that you save. So although you have a 401k and you have a long-term, I think a 401k is a long-term. But are you saving 10% of every dollar that you touch? And if you don't do that, there's no excuse not to do that, if that makes any sense. You may have a 401k, but you should be saving 10% off top of your gross income and paying yourself first. And then from there, you're able to do that. Am I looking to get away from the stream alerts and those who are signed up? No. I just don't want to deal with new people, and, we'll eventually open up stream alerts, but right place, right time. That's it. The real value. I'm telling you. And I hope you guys get it. I'm trying to help. I'm just telling you, I have a lot of data now. I have data. I have data from stream alerts. I have data from what is hit, what is not hit. I have data of Chads who have bought homes, who have not bought homes. I have data of Chads that are literally changing their lives, and I have data of Chads who have become millionaires. So I'm just saying I know exactly what is going to work. At this point, it's not like we've been doing this for a short amount of time. That's the good part about time, is that it confirms a lot of things and it teaches a lot of things. So all I'm saying is that, I think I could help you guys a lot with options if you are ready for it. But if you're not and you try to skip the steps, it ends up hurting people. And the ones who took the right steps, they all own houses now, legitimately, no exaggeration, because they did the long term first. They saved, they grew their income, they kept the balances budgeted, they moved it into options in a non-gambling manner. They moved it into real estate. They stuck with it, and it worked. And that's where I just want to make sure we clear that up. Let's get rid of any distractions and let's focus and double down on what works even more. And stream alerts, it worked very, very well. And it helped a lot of people out. And I don't think it's a bad product, but at the end of the day, like I said, I be hitting 3,000% plays and, dude, a bunch of people will sign up. I don't want that. I want people to get a long-term first. You're better off buying a long-term, and then something like stream alerts is only going to help you out. Stream alerts will be cheap because you're taking the right steps. But if you go to the trades as the lifeline, when that is not the lifeline, it's going to leave you without a boat. And that's why I'm saying we go long-term first. Know what the priority is, and if you could maturely handle that, my brother, we're going to have more than just one play. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be more than just one income source. That's fine, and I'm excited for it, but we have to build, and we have to build a solid foundation. No? Wouldn't you agree? I would hate to build a skyscraper on sand. I want a good foundation, and your long term is your foundation. If we don't have a good foundation, it's going to be very hard to trade effectively. And the people I've seen with the good foundation with the long term, my brother, they're killing it trading. They're ready to go on trading and many other aspects of life. You know what I'm saying? So that's all we got to do. And I don't want people to get lost in the sauce. And that's why I'm saying there is a focus. There's something that really works and is very successful and giving out left and right life changers, and that's your long term. And if you're not going to take it seriously and you're going to get distracted by the other stuff, if we have a ability to limit that, I'm going to do it. I don't want you guys to fall into traps and bad things. I want you to have good, walk away with good, and you're going to walk away appreciating me in the community. And I like that. I like being appreciated, I like good things. I like it when there's a reason why there's thousands of people here every day, and they have a certain respect for me because they have actually got to witness and bear the same exact fruit, and that's how we do it. So, like I'm saying, I think you'll like me a lot more if we could remove distractions. You get a long term, like I'm saying, in the worst. All these people crying about the worst market, we're up right now on your long term. So that's amazing. God is good, bro. Finger to the sky. And we get stuff like that, you're going to look back and you're going to like it more. Otherwise, like I'm saying, the culture behind trading, only traders will have, 10, 100 to 5,000% even long-term plays and get mad still. Only a trader does that. Only gamblers get mad about the one miss and ignore the 90 other good things. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's distracting. And I don't think that's going to be a good mentality because you're going to miss things in life. I miss things in life. And that's the beauty of the long term. You don't need to be perfect. You just got to be consistent. And if you do that and you eliminate the things that take your money, you're just going to be richer. So let's do it, baby. So yeah, let's get it. And long term though, that's why I'm saying. And we can still talk about play ideas. Feel free. You asked the right question. I would love to use my info. And like I'm saying, I'm just not going to tell you a play. Don't tell me what play you end up doing, and yeah, we'll be good. That's all. And then now just assume everybody, when they're talking about something, you need to assume that they own it and assume that they are pumping it. I think that'll just help with naivety. So that's it. Some of you are good people. I'm not calling you a pumper, but at the end of the day, that's just the reality of life. If somebody keeps talking about a financial asset, you need to start assuming that they have a financial interest vested in it. And make no mistake, whatever group or organization you're a part of, that usually is true. You know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. And that's why we need info. What you do with the info is up to you. Open a law. I do, actually. Yeah. I have a basic video in the description. And then if you go to the trading fraternity, it's the second link in the description. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my last video. But if you go to videos, I think it was at the beginning of the year. It said, I didn't buy anything in February. That's another one here. You can watch the real difference between long-term and short-term, but damn, has it already been 3 months? I think it's this one. Well, it might have been live, but I think it was. Which one was it? On the other channel? I know I saw it the other day. The title was I bought nothing in February. That's what I'm saying. I need to just type it in. But
See,
that's
if
the
you're
one where
sitting-
we went over it. Oh, but this video too does. I explain kind of how to use it, because especially as of late, you could just follow along with ours, and then really what
Climb
you need,
up.
you know, what's really the thing making your decision. What you need to really look at after that is just, again, plays you're going to hold for 10 years. I'm going to find you the other video, but there's another one that I made recently for this question because people were asking it, and it had to do with February. So let's see. Okay, and SPY is coming down. Again, we just had Euro close. Yeah, it's on one of the. I think that was the video though. And I'm down to make another one. Next time I make a long-term update, I'll throw it in there. Then in the description, that's the original video when we made it in 2019, 2020. And that's why if you follow along on the channel, I post it, and you're here, and this is why I want to make it very, very simple. But remember, it's a monthly thing, so you don't even have to go too crazy. It does not require, the long term does not require the same effort as trading. You know, you're not locked in the same degree every day, every minute. You know, it's just more once a month. One failure, one success is not what's going to make it all. When do you sell your long term and start from scratch? When you buy a house. Otherwise, you would want to hold it. I mean, Warren Buffett would tell you to hold it. You know, Warren Buffett don't even like buying houses. Now, he wouldn't tell you to buy a house, but I think you start over and take profits when you're ready to buy a home. Wasn't following. I mean, I'd wait because, like I said, it just, once I'm up on a play, people at one point, they like to chase it. It never works. So it's funny because I bought NVO at a higher price, and then recently I bought it way lower. So It's lower than one, higher than the other, but we are up. I'm net green on NVO now. So it did move like 20% almost in the last couple of days. It did come down a little today. Do you take the 10% off trading and put in the long term? Me personally, no, because I just have a set options budget, and then usually I just take it out and buy a house if I ever do well. So my Japanese yen play last year bought me a house, and then my Trump coin at the beginning of this year, I turned it into a house already. But pay yourself 10%. And you're trading, if it ever, or long term, if it ever gets big, you should think real estate. That is literally what I do, day in, day out. That is my strategy. So, but 10%, no matter any time you touch a dollar, and if you are going to try to mix saving with options, just separate the damn accounts. And I like to keep my options separate, and they're their own little thing. I suggest you do the same. NVO average is like 67. I'm up like 2-3%. 10% of gross. You pay yourself first. So gross income, that means you get paid the first before anybody else. Roth accounts are great. Yeah, especially if you're self-employed too. There's a lot of benefits for that. I don't think Trump is live, but we have heard his Canada comments not too long ago. Germany new administration is set to convene first cabinet on Tuesday night. I'm seeing if Trump or Rooney. What's her name? I feel like we haven't heard Caroline. Speaker Johnson is talking now. Yeah, but Canada, it's happening soon.
It's a real problem. It's not what the Founding Fathers intended. So what can we do?
This is
using
related to
our
the spending
power in
bill.
the House. That is a very common sense standard, and one that would kind of get back to the original intent.
Today's auction
and,
could
and
be
eliminate
important.
the ability of just
I mean,
one
generally,
activist to
until
just
the bonds
stop
are really
everything.
dead, I'm not too worried. But
it's very
yeah,
reasonable legislation.
It's a big auction at
We
an
passed it through
important
the
part
House.
of the
We sent
curve.
it to the Senate with every expectation that they should be able to take that up, and I certainly hope they can, because again, it shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be something that every American agrees with. We've got to restore faith in our system of justice, and it was eroded over the last 4 years on the Biden administration for all the reasons we know.
telling people
And
call,
we've counted
just
here many times.
post
And
info, but
it
stop.
falls to us to make
Don't
sure
bait
that people
bro.
can believe.
Come on.
Lady Justice has
That's what I'm
a
saying.
blindfold.
Fuck outta
for
here with
a
all
reason,
that.
Right? That the symbol is that she
Just do your shit.
It's equal
Keep
justice
it to
under law.
yourself.
It's chiseled into the marble above the Supreme Court's entrance when you
Information
walk
will be
in.
helpful.
We have
Real,
to restore that.
factual
If you don't have
information.
people's faith in a system of justice and fair judges, then you don't have anything in a republic. And that's why this is so important. We'll keep advancing it. Thanks so much for the time.
Can I ask about the FBI?
Your comment didn't help with the follow-up, Blaine. So you too.
Yeah. So I saw your statement expressing some concerns
Yalla.
after you've read the report.
Carney is 10 minutes out.
Look into that.
Yeah, I have a video of him, they're all showing the videos of the White
So
House
if you go
door.
back to 2017, after the baseball shooting, the FBI had brought in the members of the team. Roger Williams was one of those members who was part of that briefing. And at that meeting, they went through some of the information.
So everyone just waited on that. That was a little older. And then again, Mike Johnson just related to the spending bill. That's what Bessent keeps talking about. So that's the thing. You got good factual information, but it's a good. Well, you could post the info or you don't say anything at all. That's, you know what I'm saying? Y'all just, that's it. You're either going to share the info or you're not, and then don't tell us anything afterwards. Make life easy, you guys. It's not, this isn't that big of a change. And like I'm saying, it only affects a small portion of you, unfortunately, because most people have already got a long-term. EU Kala says people of Greenland should be able to make their choices. Oh, no, I forgot about that. SPY coming down, though, a little bit. You're back to what? Where you've been at the last, 2 hours? Can you post in the play when the day comes? No, man. Just stop talking about it. You're really close to getting banned. This is just a weird conversation. Like I'm saying, you guys, I don't have time to, even monitor all this anymore. Just information. That's it. Do you have news? Do you have a news? Otherwise, it's not even that's it. That's all we could do here. Get a long term and post info. Carney's delay is because of the U.S. side. So is it delaying? They delaying the meeting, or are they talking trade talks? Britain, and that was in the morning. That's what I'm saying. Part of the whole, we don't have a deal yet, but you're hearing other places announce a deal. UK even said they'll hit us with a reciprocal back if they, other measures if they can't figure it out. But then Bessent says everybody but China. So point is, though, from last week, we had a lot of tension about a deal, but we haven't had it yet. So we'll see. India, they had the deal. India has been chill, but Japan has been odd. That one, I think the headline yesterday was a little weird, that we wouldn't do a 0 for 0 in Irvine. Nice. Send me the address. I'll look. Irvine. Hold your cash when you're not investing. Yeah, well, right now, money markets just pay you as good as a short-term bond or short-term bonds. Some people were just asking me, they're like, wait a minute, why do I get paid more on a 3-month bond than a 10-year bond? It's because short-term. Yeah. So YouTube is red. You see how, there you go. Now it's green. I'm back. I'm there, yeah. They, YouTube just clapped for a second. Twitch didn't go up. What was bonds? I was just saying, I don't know where it cut out, but you could buy short-term bonds, and I was saying how short-term yields are still high. So it's 0.3 to 0.5 a month, depending on it. But so any cash, you're just getting paid on it just to sit there in a money market. Or again, you could buy a 1-month bond. So you could tie up money for 1 month to get the full yield. But just remember, it's just paying high. That's the irony, is that it feels like a lot of things changed, and they did from about a year or two ago, and the rates aren't as high. But generally, there is still there's still money to be made doing nothing. And that's why, too, at any moment, you should just, chill. And I wouldn't be worried about chilling because of that right there. Because you are literally getting incentivized to not move. I know I just kicked out 500 of you guys. Holy shit. But welcome back. What do you think about shorting the short end and buying the long end? I like that idea, but it comes with risk. The risk right now is that the Fed is wild, Donald Trump is wild, and the bonds have been very, very sticky. But that idea is great. I think that is a genius idea, because when shit does hit the fan or whatever happens, the short-term rates are going to come down, and the long end will but even the long end might come down too. But that type of move I like. The only problem is that there is a blowout in that play. So what happens, again, I don't know. Although I have ideas, and although I could tell you what is in the realm of possibility, I believe what I tell all of you. Don't be a dumbass and be certain and get clapped. So the problem with that play is inflation comes back. The problem with that play is that inflation goes through the roof, whatever happens with trade, and then now you're shorting the short end, and that thing could double if we enter stagflation or inflation, right? And then the long end's not going to do shit. You might even get clapped on the long end, or maybe you'll just make way less than you'll get blown out on the short end. But yeah, that is Operation Twist if the government did it. So if the government shorted the long end, the short end, and then bought the long end, that would lower the rates. That would kind of yield curve control. But yes, that would be Operation Twist. So you could play it as an investor, but now you buying the long end isn't going to make it go down. If the Fed did it, that's a different story. But yeah, good question. You make 4.2. No. It's 4.2 a year. So a 3-month bond, you only get the 4.2 divided by 12 and then times 3. That sounds so literally, let's just say it pays out 4.3, right? Divide that by 12, that's about 0.358 a month. So times that by 3 months, a quarter, you're going to make about 1.07%. That's how much you'll get paid for 3 months of holding, which isn't bad. Again, that's not bad at all. I know that may sound not like a lot, but that's to do nothing. So that means if you again, the last quarter, think about it. We waited all quarter. I didn't buy for 3 months. So I got paid 1% to not do anything, and then you could have moved there. But that's risk-free. Meanwhile, while the market and the dollar and everything's moving, it's like you could at least the Fed is incentivizing you to not do anything to a certain degree. The downside to the Fed doing Operation Twist, lack of confidence. So, if the Fed has to control the yield curve, that means something's broken. If you have to go in for operation, that means something's bad. So that would be the only bad thing, is that it would just be artificial yield curve control rather than market dynamics. And then that would probably insinuate that people lost faith in the bond market or the Fed. Wouldn't that minimize your risk? It would, yes. But that is your risk. That's all I'm saying, is that, like I said, I like the idea, and it's a good idea. You just got to know how it could work against you, and don't write off it working against you. That's as a guy who's lost $30,000 live on a short trade, with confidence. That's why you gotta just make sure you know how it could backfire and be ready for it. Don't unless you want to deal with it. But that really is just the reality, is that I agree with everything you're saying, but I just know the market is wacky, and that for 3-6 months that trade might blow up before it hits. And then if you're not accounting for that, or not ready, or you're operating with too much certainty, that's what I've done in the past, and that certainty is I had to pay for it. So I like the idea, and I think you're on the right track. I think it comes with risk of the bond market and Powell and everybody in the economy just not going to plan, or something just staying a little weird for an extended amount of time. That could make that trade very uncomfortable. Post the info. No, man. So I'm banning you. You're not, just leave it. You either tell the info, or you just don't ever talk about it again. Kind of how I do it. So that's it, man. But good luck. I'll see you later. Get a long term. Pony on the high. Pepsi's 4%. Big fan. I'm telling you, that I've been getting geeked. Kremlin tells Reuters about EU plans to stop energy. Europe is shooting itself in the foot, says Europe acting against its own interest. Yeah, Pepsi's at 4.15. I like Pepsi more than General Mills.
Delegation. Just don't let it hit them.
He's in the White House, but I don't see the video yet. The short gold play? No, I'm not touching gold till I know more. I don't, dude, gold is terrifying. I'm telling you, gold on the euro, though. If the euro fails, then you short the fuck out of gold. I'd feel a lot better doing that. Otherwise, I don't want to touch it. But euro, dollar, gold, that's the connection. I really think euro and gold, to be honest. Look at the risk. It's not a good risk to reward. Look at how fast gold went up. And for what? So it's like if gold does that again to make $500 on the downside, and then you could get squeezed another $1,000, it's just God forbid. I mean, if you play it small though, because I do think I got addicted to playing big on gold because it's fun. Because when you trade those GCs, bro, oh fuck, dude, it's good money. Again, I made a killing on gold when we were right. When we're correct, it pays out phenomenal. But yeah, I would go small though. If you go small, it's fine, but then it's not as juicy, and then you're like, well, what the fuck? But I play it small if you are. But other than that, you know, maybe one of these days you're gonna watch me grab a gold play on a GC, but I'm gonna have a lot more info if I do it. Yeah, you have to be correct. If you're correct, you're gonna pay, or you're gonna get paid. But that's otherwise you play it small. You're getting something on EIA and nat gas and oil output demand. Atlanta and Honolulu Hotel Equity Springboard announced strategic merger. There was another one. DoorDash bought somebody. Gold dollar is doing an inverse. Well, yeah, I mean, but gold, you'll notice it'll track with the dollar, but that's why I'm saying gold has been scary as of late, because then it'll stop. And then it'll just move on whatever central bank headline, trade headline. So it has no loyalty. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's benefiting off of a multitude of factors that all lead to gold going higher or holding it. And that's why, again, most gold bugs didn't even think gold would do this. And that's why it's like you got to be cautious. But I do think the play is in the euro. So we brought this up about a week ago on the watch list. I think this is very high quality info. Because I remember how early I was telling you guys about Europe and how people were going to get that front run. We talked about that play so in advance. And now people want to get in Europe. Now you're too late. But that's where I'm saying, like, there was a very big shift with Europe, the money, the ideology, this end of America stuff, all of that, right? That's the key, I think, for gold moving forward. If the euro breaks out and really gets stronger, then you're in a new world. But if the euro fails, I think that's going to help bring down gold a little bit. And then if that money leaves Europe now and then Europe goes back to what it is, that's going to kill some of this gold move there. But as of late, I think that European part is kind of been an X factor. Oh, no. We need to watch the trailer, bro. The market just started going crazy. I was going to put on the trailer, but where is take two first? Because I was talking about it today in the morning. Everybody was bringing up the Grand Theft Auto trailer, and it came down, and went up. But remember, when did they announce the trailer the first time? I want to say it was one of these gap ups. They announced GTA, and then it rocketed up, but then they delayed it yesterday, and then you gapped down 9% or 2 days ago, and now they put out a trailer. So that's the catalyst, but I don't know why. But I want to watch the video now. I haven't seen it. Is it on YouTube or should I go on Twitter? Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 2 hours ago. You guys ready? This is stock information, whether you like it or not. This is literally the #1 selling video game in the world. It's going to break records when it comes out, too. And they're going to probably use it to start ushering in the new higher price of video games, believe it or not. You guys know that, right? Because if they charge $80 for this bitch and it sells out more than anybody, that's going to be the new standard. So be careful. Yeah, it's kind of inflationary by, is it 120? I heard that before. It might be higher than 80. So think about that. That's crazy, bro. That is crazy. See, look at it. You just said $80 would be cheap. They got you. Bro! Dog. Games are... Don't even get me started. Let's just watch the trailer. I'm a poor kid at heart, bro. You have no idea. $60 games used to be painful as fuck.
I'm just
They
fixing
don't
some
feel
leaks.
me.
Seriously, dude, you got some time on your hands. I got some properties with paying tenants.
Oh, that's why you came by?
Just go get me my checks.
See you, Brian. Love you, Jason.
This looks like a Josh vlog. What are you saying, bro? I do the same thing. Why don't you guys just do this in real life? I just don't buy 6-packs. Literally.
I'm here for Lucia Caminos. She's supposed to be getting out.
That's me trying to get a hold of Sam Bankman.
Jason Duval.
I've seen you here before.
He might have. Hey.
Hey.
You guys could get a girlfriend in real life, too. I'm just saying. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hands above your head, now!
You, stay.
Okay, you're going to have to wait. Your president is live. So, more stock info.
His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning, so I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine, you know. But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with
Sure, bro. So much beef, and then he just starts complimenting the fuck out of him.
Because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see
All right, well, yo, head on a swivel, bro. Honestly, get ready. You might get potential plays because everything hitting the wire right now. Like that Carney thing just hit. So nothing. This is all kind of live. I want to say it's at like a couple-minute delay.
It's been.
This is Carney, Canada.
Going over some of the.
He already hinted at it with like negative comments, so we're not expecting much, but we'll see. We were awaiting this. This will probably be your only other event of the day.
Stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up.
I love the cameraman.
So
Instantly
it's very
panned.
interesting. But I just want to congratulate you, and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight, and we will honor that, and we will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis. Effective immediately, and Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop, and if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going
Yeah,
to
you're
the
popping.
Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE.
Yeah, this again. We already knew this.
And that'll be
the Saudi stuff.
I guess Monday night. Some of you are coming with us.
Mhm.
I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make.
That's-
like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what.
That's
But
why
it's
you're
gonna- and
popping.
It's very positive.
A very, very big announcement. It will be positive. I'm not going to tell you what.
Really, really positive.
That is why you just
And
went
that
up 1 point on the
announcement will
spot.
be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave.
Oh!
But it will be one of the most important
You
announcements that have been
dickhead.
made in many
He just said
years,
Thursday,
about
Friday,
subject
or the
or
Monday
one
morning
subject.
before we leave.
So you'll all
So
be
all
here.
of the plays now, either people are going to front. We don't even know what it is.
Well, thank you, Mr. President.
It's not gonna
I'm
be
on the edge
China,
of
I
my
promise
seat,
you.
Actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership.
Oh, they already jacked up premiums.
Transformational president.
Okay, people are running on that.
The economy,
Premiums
with
have
a relentless
already
focus on the
jacked.
American worker.
Again, I don't think it's
securing
going to be
borders,
about China. I think he's
providing-
teasing it,
ending the
and it's
scourge
going to
of
be
fentanyl,
something related to
other
oil
opioids,
and some of the other Saudi,
securing the
like it's going to be
and
oil, or
I've
it's going to
been
be chips in
elected,
Saudi.
with,
I can almost
with my
guarantee
colleagues
it.
here,
But
with the
market's
help
going
of my colleagues here, I'm gonna
insinuate
spread
China,
the,
as always. But play's already jacked up.
To transform Canada.
But that's why you're moving.
With a similar focus on the
Kinda
economy,
funny.
securing our borders.
So now this is
again,
just the
on
front run. He
fentanyl,
said Thursday, Friday, or Monday.
Much greater focus on defense and security.
But now what is it going to
securing the
be?
Arctic,
Wait till Wall
developing the
Street
Arctic.
Journal lies about it.
And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move
Great.
forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement. Anybody? No, it was actually very effective, and it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a
Yeah, bro. The China plays actually came down a little bit. Oh my God.
It terminates.
Yeah, bro. They
very
already
shortly.
went 50%.
It
Jeez.
gets renegotiated very shortly.
Hi.
But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country.
Well, I
Probably in
sent
the
out
history
the.
of
I
the
couldn't.
world.
I didn't even have time for that one.
And this
All right,
was
well, make
a
your shit free, bro.
Transitional deal.
If you got one of those on there, this is stupid.
We're gonna
But this is all just
starting
front running.
to
Oh my
possibly
goodness,
renegotiate
yeah.
that if it's even necessary.
All right.
I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose.
Wait for the double
And
dip, but
biggest
they
purpose it
already
served was
doubled
we got
another
rid of
100%.
NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. A very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States, would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man.
This is just hype right
And I
now.
watched him,
That's it, bro. They actually let this one run.
through the ranks.
Bro, the plays are up another
when he wasn't
200%.
given much of a chance,
Holy
and
fuck.
He ran a really great campaign. He did a really
So
good
go.
campaign. I think
I'm
that-
stream alerting it now. Go Apple, or go for individual names near the money, or you wait till the first pullback. But again, that's already a lot of premium.
But no, he ran a really
Again,
good
if you have the apples from yesterday, those are coming. Those are still down. Nice. So yeah, Apple or individuals if you want it. I think it's going to be about Nvidia though. Yeah, it's a stupid ass headline. That's just the market jumping on him saying a very big announcement. But I've talked about this prior. I think it's going to be about
Regardless of
chips
anything,
or
we're gonna be
oil.
friends with Canada.
Either way, the market's going to
Canada's a
front
very
run
special
Thursday,
place,
Friday, Monday. That's your new
to me. There are
timeline
so many
for whatever the fuck this hype is going to be.
My parents had relatives.
But like I'm saying, the spy
Canada, my
plays just
mother in
already went.
particular.
Even the cheap ass ones just went like 200-300%. It's not worth it. But individual names are chilling.
Respect for the Canadians.
So that's what I would go
Wayne
for.
Gretzky.
If I'm going to add another one, you either wait for the pullback, then you could go for a short term. If you want to go for the daily or something, otherwise I would just go for an individual if you're going to take that. Or you do nothing because this is just kind of fluff, to be honest with
We
you.
had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But
He did. He said Thursday, Friday, or Monday before we leave. Remember, go on the watch list. I was telling you about the Saudi trip. So we knew this, but he just kind of hyped it up. And now people are front running something, but wait till they realize. I don't think it's going to be about China. I think everybody first thought goes to China.
But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadians.
Honestly, I'm just going to sell all the dailies.
You get free military.
All right, I'm going to take the other 50% on those.
Medical cares. And
But yeah,
other
you could
things.
double dip though. I just
There'd
sold,
be a lot
but I
of,
don't want to risk too much.
advantages,
That was nice though,
but it would be-
200%. Fuck
It would be
it.
a massive tax cut. And it's also
But like I'm gonna go with
beautiful.
individual
as a real
after.
estate developer,
I don't like
I'm
the
a real
spies, but they
estate
hit.
developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that
know. Did
beautiful
we close the gap?
formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic
Kind of, you did. You
person.
barely closed
When
it.
I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But you know, it's I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway, because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage, because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the President just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the President has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation, because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
What would it take to get the tariffs off of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things. We want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, ANWR has been reopened now. ANWR is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But
What
we
is
have,
a lot?
Tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy, we have energy. We have more than we can ever use, and more than we could ever sell, actually, and you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
Mr. President, when you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say,
It's only time before he caves.
Many things that were
Give
not
him some
doable,
time, he'll
they
see.
ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens. China.
I was hoping you can clarify something. Earlier this morning in Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there had been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something differently. Can you clarify that?
Oh, pay attention.
And they're doing no business right now.
So this is what's going to bat down that. I'm telling you, everyone wants it to be about China, but it wasn't.
Ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now. And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion.
So yeah,
it's a lot.
that wasn't about
But
China.
they want to negotiate,
as I told
and
you.
they want to have a
But
meeting, and we'll
big
we'll
announcement.
Sounds good.
But you haven't met with them yet.
I have not met with them, no, of course. You would know if I met. I'd tell you.
You would
they
know.
want to meet, but we are right now.
They want to
Look,
meet.
they're suffering greatly. Their economy is
Yeah.
suffering greatly.
So
because
now
they're
you're
not
just
doing
going to
trade with
unwind
the US,
that.
And they made most
So
of their
that's
money
good,
off
but
the
now,
US. Don't
again,
kid
him
yourself. They
clarifying
don't
it's
make the
not
money
China. I told you
off
that in the
other
beginning. The
countries.
market just wanted to run it.
They were
That's what I was saying.
we
It's
had
kinda
a
weird.
trade imbalance. We had a deficit, or they had a surplus, another way of saying it, of more than $1 trillion. Think of it, more than $1 trillion. And because of 145%, that's the only reason, but because of they have now 145% tariff, there's no trading. You can't trade with 145%. We are, therefore, making, in a certain way, I guess, $1.1 trillion. In other words, we're not losing $1.1 trillion. Our deficit is much better. When I started, I say we were losing billions of dollars a day on trade. That's rapidly.
That was
turning
just the market,
around.
though. I think you guys
We
saw
looked at
that real
numbers this
time, like I
morning.
was telling you.
So we were losing.
Everybody
the United
just wants
States
every
during
announcement
Biden
to
was
be about
losing
China.
more than-
That's why, like, I think it was just
I won't
daily
even give
calls
you
ran
numbers 'cause
that,
they're so
and
embarrassing,
then
but
as he
billions
discusses
of
China,
dollars a day on
it just
trade.
comes down. But
Those numbers
hopefully
are
you see that
rapidly
right
turning.
away. I
When
was
the
telling you
tariffs,
that
don't
wasn't about
forget,
China.
we're now
Just
getting
knowing the
25%
context, we
on
knew that right
cars,
off the bat. We still were able to make
25%
some
on
money on it,
aluminum,
but it's
25%
still
on
just
steel,
like,
and maybe more importantly,
yeah, the market's just hella jumpy.
Massive numbers of companies are moving into the United States. Honda, we have tremendous. The car companies are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars. I would say we could be at $9 trillion. You could go back to other presidents. They haven't had $1 trillion for their entire term. Look at Biden. He had bad numbers. People were leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving with Biden, and he didn't know the difference. The only thing he knew is people coming in. You know who they were? Illegal immigrants, okay, from prisons, from mental institutions, from all sorts of places that
Yeah, we
weren't
were
good,
watching
from gangs,
GTA
from
and that.
Venezuela.
We had to
They were
pivot.
coming in and they were criminals and murderers. 11,888 people that murdered, and at least half of them murdered more than one person. This is what Biden led into our country. I'm bringing in big companies. We have Apple is investing $500 billion. We have Jensen, as you know, is going to be biggest chip maker, or chip thinker, I call him. He's really a thinker more than a maker. But we also have the maker, Mr. Wei. I get to know them all in the last, it was a cram course. But they're all moving into America because of the tariffs. And I don't think people have appreciated it. Some people do. Some of the smart people do. So we have more money coming in. It's really an amazing thing. We have more money being invested in the United States now than at any time ever before in our history, and it's not even close. And I think the real number could be 9 or 10 trillion. We don't know everybody that's doing it. We have many. I just heard about a plant that's being built right now. Very
Spy
top
flushing.
of the line company. And they didn't come to the White House. They're just doing it because they're making it because if they build here, there are no tariffs. And this is the big market. This is the market. That sets us apart from it. This is the market where everyone wants to be. Now, if I didn't come here and do this,
Okay,
all
be
of a
careful
sudden
now.
we
All those
wouldn't be the
puts just
market where
rocketed back
everyone
up.
wants to be. So we're able to
So
do
you're
it in
paying
time.
more for a put
But we're gonna
here
have a
than you
great
would have
announcement,
here
and I'm not
on a
necessarily
short, which is
saying it's on
wicked.
trade. Going to the beginning, we're
What's
going to
the
have a great
headline?
announcement over the next few days, an announcement that will be so incredible, so positive. And I'm not saying, I don't want you to think it's necessarily on trade.
Yeah, see,
just
so
to finish,
he's
we
reiterating.
also
Yeah, you
have
just said it again.
a
Big
situation
announcement.
which says when
Don't
are
think
we
it's
gonna
on
sign deals?
trade,
We
though.
don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals.
Yeah,
right
that's
now,
what
Howard,
that's
if
what the
we
red
wanted.
candle, because on the wire it's saying
sign
few
deals. They
days,
have to
not
sign deals with
necessarily
us.
on trade.
They want a
That's what I was
piece of
telling
our
you from the
market.
fucking jump.
We don't want a piece of their
But
market. We don't
yeah,
care about
everyone's
their
still a
market.
crackhead.
They want a
Everyone's
piece
excited.
of our market. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks, and I'll sit with Howard and Scott and with our great vice president who has done a really good job. We have some good news to report on a lot of fronts. But JD will be there and Marco, and we're going to sit down and we're going to put very fair numbers down, and we're going to say, here's what
So in
this
2
country,
weeks they're gonna have
what we
some
want, and
some
congratulations,
trade
we have a
update
deal.
meeting.
And they'll either say, great, and they'll start shopping, or they'll say, not good, we're not going to do it. And I said, that's okay, you don't have to shop. Now, we may think, well, they have a right, you know, that maybe we were a little bit wrong, so we'll adjust it. And then you people will say, oh, it's so chaotic. No, we're flexible. But we'll sit down, and we'll, at some point, in some cases, we'll sign some deals. It's much less important.
I don't
than
know.
what I'm
I
talking
think
about.
this is kind
For
of
the most
bearish,
part,
though.
We're just going to put down a
Because
number.
this just sounds
This
like
is
you're
what
going to have to
pay
wait
to
another
shop.
2
And
weeks
it's
of
gonna
this
be a very
bullshit.
fair number. It'll be a
Of
low
like
number.
2
We're not
weeks
looking
of
to
the
hurt
media
countries.
saying
We
deal,
wanna
deal,
help
deal,
them.
no deal.
We
no
want to
deal.
be
And they're
friendly
just,
with
they're not
countries.
even, he's pretty much saying they don't even have to announce
Deals,
anything.
Deals. When are we going to sign? When?
They'll just come
It's very
together and
simple. We're
talk
gonna
about
say,
it.
In some cases, we want you to open up your country. In some cases, we want you to drop your tariffs. I mean, India, as an example, has one of the highest tariffs in the world. We're not going to put up with that. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to nothing. They've already agreed. They would have never done that for anybody else but me. So we're going to put down some numbers, and we're going to say our country is open for business. And they're going to come in,
and they're going to pay for the privilege of being able to shop
Yeah.
in the United States.
I don't know.
of
I
America.
would
It's
get
very
ready,
simple.
though.
It's very simple.
That means the next
So
2
I
weeks
wish
are probably
they'd
going to move
keep,
very
stop
slow on trade
asking,
information.
How many deals are you
That's what this
signing
sounds like
week?
to me. This is just my
Because
opinion.
one day we'll come and we'll give you 100 deals, and they don't have to sign. All they have to do is say, "Oh, we'll start sending our ships right now to pick up whatever we want or to bring whatever we want." It's very, very simple.
We're not chaotic.
And I
we're
think
flexible.
my people haven't made it clear. We will sign some deals, but much bigger than that is we're going to put down the price that people are going to have to pay to shop in the United States. Think of us as
That's
a
new.
super
That's like a
luxury
new
store.
I don't know. It's going
A
to
store
be slower.
that has the goods. You're going to come and you're going to pay a price.
So we didn't hear about
and
this
we're
the
gonna
first
give you a
time.
very good price. We're gonna make
2018. What do
very
you mean
good
the
deals. And in
price?
some cases, we'll adjust.
He's saying, what about
that's where it
yeah,
is.
trade deal, but
And,
then we'll
we've
list
been
the
ripped
price
off
to operate.
by everybody for 50
I think that's
years.
where we had that
For
Japan
50
shit
years.
yesterday.
And we're just not going to do that anymore. We can't do that. And we can't let any country do that to us. We're just not going to do it anymore.
I can't hear you guys.
Can you tell us a bit more about the deal?
One at a time. Yeah, this is all hitting the
No,
wire.
it's not
We'll
a deal.
present a
They've
number,
said,
put down
please don't
numbers,
bomb
open
us
for
anymore,
business.
and
Don't
we're not
have to
gonna
sign
attack
deals.
your ships.
Stop asking how many deals we're signing.
doesn't
We will
matter
sign
why.
deals.
You're
We'll
a
also
very good
put down a
source,
price.
okay?
Yeah, bro,
Very,
that's
very good
really
source. Would you
different.
say
I don't
Marco?
know.
I would say
I don't know if the
very
market's
good.
gonna like that, but that sounds very. It's very different. And at the end, I think it's gonna be slower. That doesn't sound like you're gonna hear
Sort of thought that would
like
happen.
all these up. That's why it's taken 3 weeks to hear about India, for crying out loud.
Is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
From what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there.
We're not
It's good.
walking away from
We use it for
USMCA.
certain things. It's there. We have the
It's a good
USMCA
question
is a
with
good deal
Canada
for
there.
everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person, and she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know who I'm talking about. But so we had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way
gold's
they
coming
viewed
up.
the deal, and we ended it. We ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
I'll say a word on USMCA, if I may, Mr. President.
Carney?
It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Right.
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American betrayal. How do you react if Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries?
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%, and usually those things don't last very long. We have great things, great product. The kind of product we sell, nobody else can sell, including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate. But we make the best military equipment in the world by far. The missiles, the submarines, everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened. But that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. It was just very incompetent people. But if you look, the man that's now the head of our Joint Chiefs, he led the attack on ISIS for me. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs. And Raisin Kane, he was unbelievable. And as you know, we defeated ISIS in 3 weeks. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 3 weeks. And he ran the campaign. I said, I like him. But I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have the best equipment in the world.
Raising
We have the
Cane's.
best, a lot of things. And but Canada, it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask you about your investments, Mr. President? When do you think the investments that you've announced, the trillions, will finally hit the economic data this year?
When you're saying about the tariffs?
No, about the investments that you've announced.
It's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing. You have to get your zoning. You know, 5 years later, you start building. You get a bank, then the bank's no good. And these people have massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very wealthy companies money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden. Billions, we give them billions of dollars. They don't even have to do anything with it. And then if you weren't, if you didn't have, and I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things, woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The companies actually complained to me. They said they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look.
We've been at the same price for 3 hours. What time is it?
If I wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder, and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive.
I'm not trying to be a wise guy.
It's
too woke.
Tell them go to bed.
I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers. But he didn't want construction workers. He wanted people that never did it before, and he's got a disaster in his hands. Like millions of dollars, really many millions of dollars over budget. And I would love to help him with it, or somebody else. I could recommend professionals. But it was not built in a professional manner. By the way, nor was in California a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars. They have airplanes that go there for
that'd be dope, bro.
1/100th the cost.
Public
And
transport. They're like, you just get a limo.
Back and forth.
It was cheaper than building the train.
And they got involved with this project. And Gavin, I always liked Gavin. I had a good relationship with him. I just got him a lot of water. I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got him a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have had the fires in Los Angeles. Those fires would have been put out very quickly. But if you think about it, and you got to take a look at this project, it's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen, what's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. It's out of control. This is something that you don't have things like this. It's not even conceivable. Like 30 times over budget, 30 times. It's the craziest thing and now it's hundreds of, it was supposed to be a simple train. And I think the media should take a look at it. And I'd love him to run for president on the other side. I'd love to see that. But I don't think he's going to be running because that one project alone, well, that and the fires and a lot of other things, pretty much put him out of the race.
Mr. President, what changes would you like to see to the USMCA? Or what changes would you
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
I think. Just to clarify, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
No.
Just the way it is.
What's
the 51st state, if Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Well, respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States.
Okay, market actually took that good.
We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are much bigger forces involved. And this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation. But,
he's talking about Zelensky.
We want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada. And
don't worry, it's not going to be like that. This is about money. No, it's different.
It won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And we, because of, past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but
they're just
I
zooming.
his
Dude,
answer.
Carney looks hella uncomfortable.
No, I mean, it's hard
there you
to
go, smirk a little.
Subsidizing
He has to
Canada
ask
to
to
the tune of
speak.
maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada
yeah,
militarily, and we always will. We're not going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very
That's how y'all look
substantial
at me
number.
when you hear me
And
type
it's
in a
hard for the
play.
American taxpayer to
You just look up and
say,
down,
"Gee
and
whiz,
you
we love
stare at
doing
me with that
thank
face.
you
That's
very
what you
much.
do.
We're
I know
very
it.
subsidized.
He's like, he didn't even say anything. You just listen. What the fuck? You're like, so are you playing it?
Thank you.
President.
I like to listen.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Do you think that maple syrup should be on every meal?
Are you going to the World Cup?
Please keep it.
Are you bringing maple syrup to the World Cup? No. Okay. All right. Oh.
Thank you, press.
Thank you, everybody.
You can go.
They didn't get kicked out. What's happening? How come Fox is still there, bro? Hold on, that's why I'm not turning it off. Yeah, so I made a put play, then I got out of it, but watch, I think there's going to be a negative headline coming. It's going to be in relation. I'm out with it, though. I already hit my place. I think I did good. I took a little loss on the other one. It was like 5-10 cents, but I don't want to deal with it. I got a good Apple play. And then, yeah, just I think they're going to talk about that whole, like, price thing. That it sounds a lot slower, you guys. I don't know. That's what I got after hearing that. I hope my information helped you. You know, everybody was pumping up the big announcement thing, but I told you, I was like, it's not going to be about China. Everybody thought it would be about China. He said it's not about China, but then he started talking about prices and all of that. So I thought that was fascinating, but I think that's going to be our next thing. But where are we, bro? Hold on. I know we're coming down, but, and you got to hear Canada and Trump, but nah, bro. I want to finish that GTA 6 trailer. We didn't finish it. So, yeah, back to that. But see if we dance around. Otherwise, we have been up again. Bessent, that's kind of what kept us moving up in the AM. So let's see.
What you doing up there?
Where were we? We're at, yeah, they're picking up now. The puts are a little bit higher, but biotechs are going down. Labu and all of that. So take note. But not every big tech is moving.
Say my city, baby.
My city, baby.
Come to Fields Ammunition today. We got more guns than the law allows.
Okay, bigger candle now. Damn it. I knew it was going to happen. I knew there would be a negative. The headline hasn't came out yet, but you are selling off. Again, I think the, what's it called? The whole slow price thing is what hit it. And the USMCA stuff. They said it was actually good, though. But I really think that pricing thing wasn't good. I'm expecting, I think Wall Street Journal is going to put out an article talking about that. I should have held the puts. But yeah, those are starting to run now even higher, which sucks because those puts were already at premium. But be careful. We haven't moved out of this range in the last 3 hours. We are just at a euro close. But that is, you just got a series of quotes between a big announcement Thursday, Friday, or Monday, and then it's not going to be about China. And you don't need to announce a trade deal every day is apparently what he said, even though they said they're going to announce trade deals. But yeah, you're at VWAP now. Premiums are a little bit higher, though, so this is the highest puts have been in the last, 3 hours, believe it or not. Not from the morning, though. So see where that plays out. And then please. I think the first trailer was better. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that one as much. No way they delayed the game and put out a worse trailer. So... But yeah, I think the first trailer looked better. It was too much. Just too much. Like it felt like the campaign, but like the other one, you were like seeing some of the like potential shit they were launching. But yeah, you're going down now. So it's still, I think you had your shot to get puts or not, or if you held them again. I even said I expected another headline, but that headline hasn't came. You just moved down, and just like yesterday, remember. We had a lot of movement today with little headlines, but even after that, you never went green. Yesterday, you at least went green for a little. And then gold is rocketing. That's in the bottom right. But all of these moves are still tiny. Again, throughout the day, you have not moved more than I think it was 0.7, a little bit bigger than yesterday. So C, and then Labu, like I was saying, biotechs are starting to drop. I think that one's interesting. Labu, bro. Dude, Labu's getting murdered. So, again, I know he's supposed to sign that thing, or he might have done it. Bessent's going to be tomorrow, so you'll hear him again. He'll lift up the market. The adult in the room, they love him. They love him. S&P will hit 7K before GTA 6. Wow. I was blown away. I forgot. I was like, dude, it comes out this year, and then they pushed it back. Again, take 2 off the new release. Only 1 this time, but situation's different. Biotechs are still selling, you guys. Something's happened. I think it's biotechs. I know we already got word of that and signing that bill, but remember, Trump talked about adding to those biotech tariffs today, and then, yeah, this thing's already getting plummeted. Dude, it's down 15% on Labu. Okay, some names are like Apple is holding, bro. So some of the names that were already doing good, or if the names were already dead, like Palantir, they didn't go any lower. So watch for a little bit of inverse, but this isn't across the board. Again, most of the day, more names were down, but it was kind of 50-50 on the SPY earlier. So NASDAQ 100, 26 green, 75 in the red. Dow 9 green, 21 in the red. And then S&P 150 green. Yikes. So, yeah, you even sold. That's kind of crazy. So, because we barely moved, but 100 names went red on the SPY. It was 2-something earlier last time I gave you the checkup. But, yeah, SPY still at VWAP. Again, premiums are kind of tricky. I'm out, though, I think, for the day. We got lucky on the little rumor pop or the news, and then came right back down. We would have hit the put, but other than that, I think individuals, and then it does seem more of a closer to the money type of day. If you weren't aware. Didn't GTA come out in the last recession? You know GTA 5 is like 18 years old or something? Did you guys know that? It's kind of wicked to think about. Yeah, Apple's still going up. I think that's interesting. So that didn't bring everything down, but I think even NVIDIA, I think that big announcement is going to be related to NVIDIA. So because I talked about that earlier, but I think NVIDIA is like Saudi and chips. I think that's the real plug. Look. See, my Twitch is still green. So now the YouTube's up. That's what happens every time. I'm telling you. That's just all YouTube. They got to kick out another. They stopped. Ever since I've been playing ads, they stopped doing this, though. You guys don't remember this used to happen every day? You don't remember that? This would happen like 5 times a day? That was before we let them run the ads. But, yeah, they still have to kick out like 1,000 of you real quick. Say, fuck all y'all. You know. All right, you're going down. Put plays all hit. Premiums are jacking up even more. You could find a Frogger if you really wanted to, but I think it's just going to be trappy. I would expect I think someone's going to write something negative about what we just heard, but other than that, though, you are still down almost 1% now. 0.68, 3/4 on the NASDAQ. You're going lower. China, are they still breaking out? Oh, China's dumping now, but then SPY's starting to tweak. And then Labu, guys, it's something to do with biotechs. I would definitely watch out for that. Yeah, dude, biotech ETF is down 5%. Like, what is this? Let's Oh, that Phil? No. Yeah, the bond auction's in 8 minutes. Finally make the bull. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And let's go, man. Let's get some long terms in here. And I really do hope that, you know, by the end of the decade, we see a lot more long terms than we've already seen. And you guys have done very well. That's why I'm saying, man, just when it's all said and done, everybody should walk away with something that will show. I'm man. Long term. I like the biotechs, but yeah, it's kind of tough. Dude, they every time I look at these plays, they're fucking moving the that's actually trippy. I'm just like putting in random prices on the limit order, like I'm not serious about it, and the asks are adjusting, but then these are liquid as fuck. On Uber? Oh, I thought they already reported, but that'll be a big earnings. And then Uber and this self-driving shit. There's just been so many headlines. So I think it'll be big in Uber, again, at these prices. It wants to be $100 stock again. I think the 10-year, it's probably going to surprisingly have a little bit more demand. Other than that, though, bonds are like near the danger zone, but that's like a big event, but I still don't think it's going to really be that important. You know, as long as there's not a failed bond auction, as long as the yields aren't at a level where they're going to crack, we go back to all is normal, all is well, just normal course of business. Because remember, bond auctions haven't really attracted all of this attention, you know? It's kind of a newer phenomena. Adding Rivian, no, I like $1. I think Rivian gets like $1 billion valuation at $1 or $2. But Rivian's still a very big company. I see them everywhere. Think it's an interesting car, but I'm not. I don't think I would invest in them. Kimberly-Clark, Staples, are. Yeah, Staples are actually holding up again. Apple. I haven't looked at really all the Mag 7. All the Mag 7 is actually barely down right now. So this is everybody else. Meta's down a decent amount. Okay, first little bounce. Watch the biotechs. Watch anything that held up. But then again, I just went through some of the Mag 7. They didn't really move today. So I think you are getting more movement and pressure from the other 500 names. Or 409-7. Bonds are holding too. Remember, at one point, bonds were matched up with the SPY. I guess they're kind of close. But low ticker picking up. UPS leading the way down. That's interesting. Watch any of the shipping ones. You had Zim and a few others down. But, yeah, you're getting back. This was like near the first high of the day. And then we did sell off from this point as well, too, at another point. Wasn't Target down, and then NVO got worked, and then they have earnings. NVO's dropping big. Again, that's part of the biotechs. So I think that's part of it, too. Because every biotech is murdered. Even healthcare is down 2% today. So that's a really big effect. Okay, SPY still looking over the edge. Kimberly-Clark, Staples. There's a couple names now. Mag 7's not really reacting, and then there's just everybody else starting to move now. So again, the low ticker, you're getting more activity on here than you're kind of watching move on the index. I think it is the pharma stuff that they announced, because that was part of the escalation, where it's just like you thought things are cooling down, then you hear something like that. That's, you know, kind of resetting all of those fears. I like Spotify. We have it in the other account, but I want to buy it here. It's up like $600. Or it's at $600. I think we're up like 300% on the account. Spotify's our biggest on the other account. That's how much it's grown on the small account. So we bought Spotify It's up 317% in the long term. It's kind of crazy. So I wouldn't buy it here, but I think they're a great company. 2 standard deviate puts for next week are cheap. Yeah, everyone's hyped on Uber, but yeah, the puts are always cheap. And because it's moved up so much. And they could hit if they do bad. All right, see if NVIDIA, Apple, if Mag 7 starts to come down, this low will get more aggressive. Because like I'm telling you, so far, last like 20, 30 minutes, those did not react on it. OMAB. All right. Well, I don't know if this is good timing, but you guys know what's going to happen, right? Should be used to it by now. But I think it's time we move on over, boys and gals. We say hello. Hello. Well, yeah, watch out if it comes down here. Like I said, I'd watch for one of those headlines on the news we already got. Amazon robotaxi recalling self-driving vehicles after crash last month in Las Vegas. Wow. So Amazon self-driving just took a L. Oh, yeah, the bond auction. So we'll stick around there and then I'll leave. But so you will need a membership. I haven't asked you guys to buy a membership, I don't think this week. But I appreciate you if you have. But we are going to go to Philo. So don't buy it if you don't want to hear me talk about, like, Jesus. I am reading the Bible today. So the when issued is 4.354. This is a 10-year auction. Again, it's important. I have the wire up because you'll see it, but 4.354. Okay? So higher is bad, lower is good. You will see the data come up here in about a minute or two. And then you'll have a minute or two to decide about your membership. Otherwise, get ready and we will be moving on over there. If you need it. Well, Philo's good every day, you know. Sometimes you think you need it. Sometimes we just need water and a nap and to just take the pressure off, you know. Okay, that's the link for the Philo. I'll see you there. And then leave it like another minute, you'll get the bond data. Again, 4.354. Ungood received the membership. Let's see if he's good. Oh, and Tyler, and Deezy, and Daniel. Thank you again, X-Flare. Woo! Elroy. Well, welcome, man. Thank you. I hope you enjoy Philo. Get ready for it. Okay, 4.354. Give it like 20 more seconds. Again, I don't think it's going to move us too much. I think it's going to be good, too. So let's find out. ServiceNow, new AI platform. 4.354. Just typing it again for you. Compare it when it comes across here. Oh, 4.342. So, yeah, it came in strong. Bonds are ripping off of that. I think it's because it's a 10-year. Bid to cover was kind of high, 2.6. And then indirect was 71? No fucking way. It's a very strong auction. All right. But, yeah, that's demand. So, it may be short-lived. Don't get too jumpy, but I didn't think the market would care too much about it. But like I told you, all of these auctions are surprisingly coming in out of nowhere. That's why I told you guys ahead of time. I said, I don't think it really matters, but I have a weird feeling the bonds are just going to still get demand on these on the long end of the curve. And then watch, this short bond auction that the people should be buying is not going to have anybody. It's very odd. But yeah, other than that, bonds, TLT, that's your last catalyst. And then we'll see where everything's at. But yeah, it did seem, I think more people were covering, but that was a pretty healthy auction. Everyone here is a member? Well, no. So it's kind of crazy because YouTube just kicked out a lot of you guys. So before the gap, before the cutout, there was 6,500 of you. But now there is 5,900 people listening now. And I'm grateful, you guys. That's a very wild number. So I do appreciate you guys being here. But this is what I'm saying, too. Not everybody wants to hear me talk about Jesus, and I understand that. So people pay me for it. It's not really Jesus-like, but I'm not a preacher. I am a stock guy, okay? And at the end of the day, too, I like good workflow. And when we go to Philo, it's going to be like 1,000 or 1,500 people. And at the end of the day, that just means it gives the members more of an edge for a little bit. And I like that because I do think you guys should get something for being a member. So although everybody in the chat is a member, there's still a lot of people listening in, man. So end of the day, I think if you really are part of the community, I would love for you to get a membership. But the other 80, 90%, you don't need it. So you guys figure it out and we'll be good to go. The religious stuff is killing your channel. So that's the funny part. Because ever since doing this change, my viewers have gone up 50% and my income is 10x. So, quite frankly, the people who are like anti-religion, you guys are the problem. You guys have hurt the channel and have benefited me financially. And you have given another set of Chads a different opportunity. So, like I said, the long term's free. I still wake up 5 a.m. for you guys and you'll be here. But quite frankly, like I said, if you guys are willing to support my weird religious beliefs, I would love to help you out. But at the same time, these changes have only made it better for certain people. So don't hurt yourself because you don't like my belief. Because in the same respect, I mean, I didn't think I would benefit so much doing this. And that's why it's kind of sad because now I'm like, damn, this is kind of good. So I hope you guys listen, but either way, as you see, even having this conversation, we don't need to have it. So I'll see you guys on Philo, and God bless America, and thank you to the vets, and we should be back on before Power Hour, but yeah, that's it. I'll see you in a little bit. Peace.